You don't have to be in the mood to make your partner happy.
Correct.
And that doesn't mean you got to sleep with them. There's a whole lot of other things that you can do to meet those needs. It's sometimes you have to sacrifice for the people you love. Therapy, we've talked about this a lot on the podcast too. Therapy is literally a place you go to get tools. Mm-hmm. That's it. They're not doing anything for you.
No, it's not
they
a
are
cure-all.
giving you the tools for you to do the shit yourself. It's no different than what we're doing. We are giving you the tools that has worked for us so that you can try them. And if they work, great. And if they don't work, you tried, and then you can try something else.
Say you take 10 things from the podcast, only 2 of those things worked.
Right.
You take those 2 things, you see what they're doing, and then you can alter some of the other things. You might have to cut this from the podcast. I will say with my full chest, if I had some type of medical issue going on and my sex drive was low, I would still push myself, be like, all right, we're fucking doing this, babe.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was good until you said that. Can't leave that in there. If you were to say something to me and I didn't acknowledge you, then you were to say it again and I didn't acknowledge you, and you were to say it again and you could tell that I'm
Been like, listen here,
right.
I know you hear me.
See how frustrating that would get?
Yeah.
Like, it comes down to the emotional maturity to be like,
Well, she said that she's not frustrated. He said she's not frustrated. She becomes triggered. So when she's triggered, she's in a panicking moment. So she's looking for that resolution to satiate the panic that she's having.
and we are back.
We're back. I forgot that we had that really fancy camera over there, and I was like, what alien is looking at me?
Eventually, we'll have all of those.
That would be absolutely insane. Mm-hmm. And I would also love that, because that means I can just take my camera and go outside whenever I want to.
Yep. That's the goal. I figure if we buy another Sony a7S III to just keep in here set up at all times, you can take your camera down and just keep it out there.
That's what that is, right?
That's the FX3. That's the big one that I showcased in the last episode.
Okay. So the other one's just a camera body you're talking about.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I realized that I can buy another FX3 relatively inexpensive. Well, they're not. They're fucking expensive. It's almost $4,000 for the camera body. But with the lenses that we have, if I put it on the 50 millimeter, and that's at 50 millimeter, and it's the same thing.
Right.
The color balance is going to look the same. The temperature is going to look the same. It's a whole lot of less work I got to do in post. So, what's up, guys? Episode 27.
This would be episode 27.
Crazy.
We're at almost 30.
Yep. So we know that we're running 2 weeks behind.
Correct.
Because 25 hasn't aired yet, 26 hasn't aired yet. By the time this one airs, there is a possibility that we're going to be $100,000 for subs, because we're at 82.
Yeah, I want to say we were close to 82 this morning.
81,882. 81,882 right now.
Okay.
So in 3 weeks, there's a very strong possibility that we may see 100K. That's insane.
That is really insane to think about.
And I am so pumped.
100,000. Did you ever?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Nope, not even close. I figured I figured at best we would see like 10 grand, and we shot way past that.
I thought we would hit like 3,500 and plateau.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I said in episode 26 that we're evolving, and we talked briefly about the things that were coming. We've talked about the shirt release that's coming out on June 15th, which I think this might be after that release. I don't know the dates of things that are being released. That's AJ's department. We just record. He handles the back end shit. So I'm going to say some shit that's not going to matter to everyone who's listening to this, because we'll have already experienced it. But today I ordered a laptop.
Correct.
The lavalier mics that I ordered will run through my laptop, which will allow me to record on OBS with good audio. We tested that this morning. We booked a 4-day vacation to St. Augustine. We get to go around and do all that stuff, but we will be doing live streams while on vacation from the room that we're staying in.
Plus the interview
While on vacation.
Yeah.
I'm super fucking stoked about all this.
I am pretty pumped about it. Like, it's going to be fantastic, because it's not a bungalow, but that's the only thing coming to my mind right now.
It's technically a condo.
It faces the water, if I'm recalling correctly.
I didn't do that one. No, that one was like $800 more.
Was that the one with the hammock?
Yeah,
Okay.
We didn't do that one.
No.
We did the one that's right in the middle of downtown. We're going to park and not get back in the car unless we're leaving.
Okay.
So like
Even
everything
across the bridge?
everything is in walking distance minus the lighthouse. If we do the lighthouse, we actually have to drive because that's miles.
do.
I'm not walking.
If I could walk in that lighthouse, I'd be so stoked.
We can go in the lighthouse. You can go to the top of it. Yeah, you can go to the top of it and look around and shit.
That's on my bucket list.
Well, that'll be an easy check off because it's there.
Hell yeah. I've never been in a lighthouse. I want to be in a lighthouse.
Never been in a lighthouse?
I've never been in a lighthouse. I want to climb the staircase and take a picture from the bottom and then like from the top down and then from the bottom up.
That lighthouse was on taps.
Yeah.
It's they registered it as haunted. So it's a haunted lighthouse, but not that you can go in there at nighttime. It's all daytime shit, but
Yeah.
it's actually kind of cool because when you walk to that lighthouse, all the bricks that are laid around the place are named. So like you can buy bricks and have your
Shut up.
have your name out there.
We should put To Be Better out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else did we do today that was relevant to all of that? We talked about all of it. Now I can't remember. I got the laptop, got the lav mics figured out,
Capture card.
got the capture card ordered. The only thing I haven't figured out yet is lighting. Because you can, I mean, realistically, you can just change the ISO on the camera. And it may or may not have good lighting depending on where you live. But I could probably buy a small aperture light LED panel or take one of those ones that are in there and just turn it down so we have some sort of fill light.
Yeah.
And we need to get our tripods and stuff. I don't know. I'm pretty stoked. I need to order some filters because this is the first time we're actually going to do photography out and like to do the thing. I want to get a polarizer for my lens.
What's a polarizer do?
It makes it's like polarizing lens on sunglasses. Have you experienced that or no? Okay, so yeah, like if you have a polarizer on your glasses and you look into water, you can normally see through the water. So if you have a polarizer on your camera, you can get rid of a lot of the like water glare. So
Okay.
if there's something in the water, rocks or fish or whatever, you can see that.
Can we get 2 of those?
Yeah. I mean, I have some now. I want to buy quality, like high end. Does it make sense to put a piece of plastic on a $3,000 camera lens?
Right.
So if you're going to do it, you might as well do it right and get glass and like spend the money, but it's a me thing. I'm so stoked. All of this is just going the whiskey shelf. I got the dates on that. I believe the whiskey room will be finished by like the 25th of this month. So we can start doing interviews there, which I am over the moon about.
I can't wait to have my little plant spot.
do
There's
you
all
mean?
that stuff in there right now.
Oh yeah. I know there's a chair in there and pictures and stuff hanging up. I got to move all that stuff out of there anyways.
Yeah.
If we're buying new chairs, I have to figure out what we're doing with our chairs. I got to be honest, these are the ones that I would want to get rid of because these are more uncomfortable than the black ones. So if we were, and I know that kind of changes the look of the room because everything in here is dark. We'd have black chairs. It'd be a very dark room if we did that. I feel like these add a little bit of light and fill light because light bounces off of them, but
Right.
I know that back leg is broken. And every time I sit down, I'm like, this is going to be the one where it's going to go down and I'm going to break this whole damn chair. Luckily it hasn't happened yet, but I don't know. I do want to buy those chairs. The ones with the
The ones that
headpieces
sit
move.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't want to spend $2,000 on them right now. Do you got anything you want to talk about before we get into this?
No, not really.
How do you think the expedited email thing is going that we're doing?
I think it's going fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we're getting I feel like we're going into Sunday night's live stream already making money, which is super nice because we rely on super chats during our lives to generate revenue for us to dedicate that 2 to 3 hours. And sometimes it does really well and sometimes it really doesn't. I mean, there's been live streams that we've walked away after 4 hours with $40. And then there's times obviously that we do significantly more than that, but doing the expedited email reads, I feel like is we're going into it ahead.
Right.
So any super chats that we get on those evenings is just bonus. But
I think the expedited email is something to give to people who are serious about getting resolution.
Yep.
And they don't have to wait the 3 or 4 months for us to get to their email.
Right. Well, that time is believe it or not, has come down a little bit. I talked to one of the screeners today. I don't want to say their names on here, but I talked to one of the screeners today, and she said that they've dumped over 70 emails.
I believe that.
Because it's people with no real direction, no real questions that are just wanting to tell their stories and have them read and like, or it's a repetitive thing because they've watched all our content. They know what we've talked about.
Oh yeah, they've watched it multiple times.
So I don't have to worry about them going here, read this one.
Right.
Oh man, I've answered this 15 times already. Like I don't have to worry about that. So I'm excited about that. Now it's just a matter of fine tuning how we get them to where they're going to go and get them into the podcast or side pieces. Oh, we have the new intros being worked on.
Oh yeah, for our vlogs.
Yep. And I gave him the new music for the side piece to get rid of that, which is now Ruminations and Revelations. But I gave him a new audio for that, and hopefully he has that done. I need to actually message him right now because if we're going to record that tomorrow, I would like to have that intro finished.
Okay.
What were you about to say? I heard you take a deep breath.
On the trip to Augustine and back, it's going to be like a 5.5 hour drive, 6 hours to be safe.
Yep.
I am going to dedicate those 12 hours of drive time to getting ahead in choice theory and never split the difference. Once I'm ahead on both of those and my notes are set out for like 3 or 4 weeks, I am going to start working on the attachment styles.
You're just taking a whole lot of workload on after we just got rid of a whole lot of workload.
What do you mean?
The women's group starts Monday.
Well, yeah.
You're reading 2 books currently.
Correct.
You're about to take on a 3rd book.
Well, that's once I'm caught up. Well, not caught up, but ahead on those 2 books. I'm not going to read those books and work on the attachment styles.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm
You're
wanting...
going to try to blast through it and make all your notes in advance?
Correct.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then I can redirect my attention to the attachment styles and get that going.
Makes sense.
We might be able to make that into like a mini series or something.
The attachment styles?
Yeah.
Do that shit for Patreon only.
Okay.
That would be kind of gangster. Could do that. We could turn our Friday night live streams on Patreon into that. Because right now we're just sitting there staring at the screen waiting on people to ask us questions. Mm. We could actually turn that into content and do it on live streams and just leave it uploaded for people to watch it later.
Okay.
We'll talk about that later, I guess. Not super concerned about that. I am hoping that I'm not coming through your microphone and you're not coming through my microphone because the new editing shit that I got going, if I don't have to edit anymore, like there's so much free time that we could do shit.
Well, I can talk and you can go see if I'm being picked up.
Well, I want to see how it runs through the audio thing because I had that other idea too about how to fix the sound, but it's just anyways. You want to just jump into it?
Yeah, we can.
I don't really have a whole lot to talk about today.
Yeah, me either.
Everything that I've talked about, we've talked about on live streams, like everything I want to talk about. And I feel like I just, like last night we had that live stream. We talked about the aprons, talked about the shirt release. We've talked about hoodies on the last episode. Like we've done a lot of bullshitting before the episodes. And like right now, there's not a whole lot of new shit to talk about going into those things. Everything is thriving in our world at the moment.
Yeah, the chaos has settled down a little bit.
Right. And I don't know what to do with myself now.
Yeah. I totally forgot that we're going live on Patreon tonight.
Right.
So this morning I woke up at like 5 or 5:30 and I was up until about 6:30 and I was finally able to fall back to sleep. So I was planning on doing my back workout tonight. No, we got a live to do. So I'm thinking, I don't know. A lot of things happening in life. Too much going on. Why are you looking at me like that? You fucker.
I know.
Oh my God.
I wasn't going to say it.
That was good.
You poked. I'll probably cut that out of there, but I may not. We'll see how I feel. Because people go, I can't believe they over-sexualize their podcast. Ugh. It's flirting. It's how we keep our intimacy alive.
What kills me, so a lot of things just went through my mind. In regards to the overly sexual, we do have moments where we are husband and wife. Mm-hmm. A lot of marriages lack that.
Yeah.
So how are you to improve on a marriage when you don't have a direction on what to do?
Right. Those little flirtatious moments mean a lot to us.
They really do. And we are sitting in our house recording this. We are doing exactly what we would be doing if there were no cameras.
I would say we're doing like a PG version of what we would be doing because when we're out there and there's no cameras, I am raunchy as fuck. So are you.
I would say that this is rated R.
The podcast?
Yeah.
Then that would be NC-17 no rating.
Okay.
Because there's no way we could get rated out there.
Okay.
They would rate that as
I wouldn't say this is PG. I wouldn't.
No, I'm saying that this is a PG version. Like it's very
it's
light.
like
It's like
okay.
flirting light. It's diet
like a great
flirting.
value version.
Yes. Yes.
So we have like Coca-Cola out there and this is Diet Coke.
This is more like Tab.
Okay.
It's not even like the real thing. It's the off-brand thing, just to kind of give you guys a taste of what it could potentially be, but know that it's so much more.
Yeah. It just kills me that on a podcast dedicated to bettering humanity as a whole, and there's a moment where I flirt with my husband, and it was a cake pop reference.
Yeah.
It was the cake pop reference.
I don't think it was so much the cake pop reference. I think it was the fact that you said either way you want it in your mouth.
No, I said, and I want both things in my mouth.
That's what did it.
And they're like, oh my God, so overtly sexual. I can do a lot worse than that.
Well, I mean, you were talking about cake pops.
I was talking about cake pops and something else. But she follows me too, so you know what the content is of this podcast.
Yeah.
And I just want to throw on there, I don't see a lot of the women who are like shaking their asses and whatnot on TikTok getting hate like that.
No, of course not.
How is that not overly sexual? But me calling my man a cake pop and saying I want that in my mouth is, oh God, too much.
The real question is those same people that do that be like, there's kids on this app. Yeah, they are. And they're shaking their body parts for the fucking views.
Yep.
And TikTok ain't got no problems with that. But they got a problem with our conversation so much so that you got banned while we were reading a book the other day.
Correct. We got banned while reading a book.
7 days.
Yes. I'm also thinking about the fact that I'm showing my knees right now too, and I don't want to upset somebody with that. I know. I'm going to make it worse. Are you ready?
There's more thigh there. Oh no, now there's shoulders.
Look at it. Let me distract you.
You know that actually does distract the shit out of me. You're an ass.
No, I didn't know that actually distracts you.
You did know that because we were recording out in the other room one day and you popped that over the shoulders and I was like, and we had a whole back and forth.
Oh, I
it.
do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that it stayed in the pod.
That did happen.
Mm-hmm.
We have terrible memories.
We have really good memories.
Oh no, I just mean our memory, like individual.
Yeah.
Remembering things, we are not great at that. We have fantastic memories together. We really do.
No, I meant like we can pull podcast things.
Yeah.
But that was one of those things that didn't stay in. And I think that because it got cut out, it wasn't like something that has been repeated in Discord or because for the most part, a lot of the shit that we say gets mirrored back to us. We are walking fucking memes in the Discord channel.
Yeah. Yeah, we are. I lay down at night sometimes and it's just like scrolling text like Star Wars.
What?
Fuck me. Fuck me. Because I was going to say frustrated and beneficial. And I just... add on another one, guys. That's going to start tonight.
Yep.
It's going to be beneficial, frustrated, Star Wars. Or however I said it.
That's not even going to be tonight. It'll be like...
Star Wars.
2 weeks from now. 3 weeks from now.
Oh, no, but it's going to start for me. It's going to be added into that scrolling...
list of misspeech.
List of things that get repeated back to me. Yeah, I think about that a lot at night.
That's funny. They really want the beneficial shirt.
They really do. You know what else I find super hilarious? A lot of people are like, oh my God, I embarrassed myself and nobody saw it. Thank God no one's going to remember that.
We embarrass our shit constantly.
And I'm kind of here for it. I genuinely, I want a roast. You know how that was like a big thing in the early 2000s and they did like the roast of Eminem and the roast of Steve-O. Okay, for my 40th birthday, I want to do a roast, right? And like, oh God, we don't have close friends. Fuck. I guess I'll just roast myself in the mirror and laugh because I do that. I think I'd be the best at roasting me anyway.
Yeah.
Some people are afraid to hurt feelings. If you can roast me and it's accurate, I'm going to laugh at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just want to get into it?
Sure.
Question for the podcast. Hi, I'm a 23-year-old female and my boyfriend is 24. We've been together for a little over a year, and recently I've had a decline in my health due to birth control. It's an IUD, and I'm still on it. I have back problems, breathing problems, and hormonal problems. Okay, so the IUD is an implant. Mm-hmm. If you're aware of these issues, why don't you...
just go get it removed?
Right, why don't you talk to your doctor and say, this is fucking with my breathing?
Mm-hmm.
That's... Okay, I don't even know if that's your question, so I'm going to keep going. Due to this, my sex drive has declined rapidly. Sex also has become painful for me, so we have not been very intimate in that area lately. My boyfriend keeps contradicting himself about this matter, as he'll say he understands, but then in the same breath say that he's frustrated with me for it.
So he does understand.
Yeah,
but he still has needs that need to be met.
Both of those things are very valid.
Right.
I can understand a situation and still be pissed off about it.
Right. You can also understand the fact that there's two of you involved in this.
Correct.
So though he does understand all that's going on, it's got to suck for him. It sucks for both of you. And for you to, there's your moment to be like, you know what? I get it. It does suck for you.
Mm-hmm. I know that our intimacy has changed.
Right. Less selfishness.
Yeah.
More understanding.
You might have to cut this from the podcast. I will say with my full chest, if I had some type of medical issue going on and my sex drive was low, I would still push myself to be like, all right, we're fucking doing this, babe.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was good until you said that. Can't leave that in there.
So I'll start over.
So rephrase that.
So if I had a medical condition going on, and I've been on antidepressants have ruined my sex drive. Because of the relationship you and I have and just the way that we care for each other and we go above and beyond, we put ourselves in uncomfortable positions sometimes. If that were to happen to me again, you best believe I'd be taking one for the team.
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. If it was painful down there in the...
I'm not going to fuel this because I know that you're going to continue with it. So I'm glad that you are not selfish because I know that if the roles were reversed, I would still make sure that your needs were taken care of as well.
Right. And you guys can feel about however you want to feel about that. I'm not saying
you're going to piss off a whole lot of women with that shit.
You guys can get pissed. That's okay because I'm not saying that's what you have to do.
Right.
I am saying personally, because I have gone through the decrease in sex drive due to something medical. And being in the position I am now with my husband and the relationship that we have, I know for a fact if that were to happen again, I would go above and beyond to make sure that your needs are met. And you don't have to do that. That's just me personally.
Yeah. I think that it's important anyways.
Right. I think it's important, but I'm not going to sit here and preach and say this is what you have to do.
No, it's not a matter of have to, but why would you? Why would you? I understand. I get it. If there was something wrong with me, you still have needs that need to be met, and I am your husband.
Right.
I have a duty as your husband to make sure that your needs are met. All of them.
If we got to go shopping, we're going to go shopping.
Women have to do the same thing. It's part of being married. People want to fucking argue that point all the time. And it is a very large argument on the internet. When it comes down to it, tell me how fucking happy you are in your marriage. Because I'm happy as shit in mine.
Yeah, me too.
And everybody that's following our podcast wants what we have.
And they're getting to that point.
And we don't have those arguments.
We don't. So him saying that he understands that you are not choosing this. He understands that it is a medical issue. And if you were to snap your fingers and choose not to be going through this, you would.
Right. But he's also explaining to you, this sucks.
Right. So in him being frustrated, you have to understand that he has lost the intimacy that you have both had. Not only did you lose it, he has also lost it. So there's no more of, I'm going to get home tonight and babe and I are going to get it in the sheets. That's not happening now. Did you like that little?
You know that some of these conversations would do really well on Patreon.
Yeah.
Because those are private videos that we upload to Patreon and only our Patreon members, subscribers can see those videos. We do talk a lot more freely on those videos.
We do.
Because I'm not worried about being demonetized and kicked off because it's a private video.
This is a conversation that keeps popping up lately and we just can't seem to come to an understanding on it.
Is it that you can't come to an understanding or that he's trying to express to you his desires and needs and frustrations and all of this and you're doing the same thing?
Right. Or yes. Is there also that added layer of that you feel guilty?
Could be.
And because he's coming to you and saying that he's frustrated, you feel like as if he's attacking you?
It could be a thing.
That could
It very
definitely
well could be a thing. Because that comes down to knowing that she's inept right now.
Right.
And
she
it's out of
knows.
her control. So that could very much feel like an attack.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is a conversation that keeps popping up. He says he's frustrated because I'll get flirty with him and he thinks that means I'm in the mood. But when he tries to initiate, I tell him no because I'm not really in the mood. I just want to be flirty.
Well, there's a difference between being flirty and being sexual.
Correct.
There's a big fucking difference. Because me paying you compliments and like whispering shit in your ear is flirty.
Yeah.
Me trying to intentionally get you aroused is a totally different scenario.
I can definitely tell the difference between you being like flirty and we're doing like the little game that we do.
Yeah.
Or like shit's about to go down.
It's about to go down.
So there's like 3 more sentences left, and then I'm going to go back and touch on that. He doesn't want to take care of himself because he says that he has had issues with that in the past and he doesn't want to deal with that again. But he also doesn't want to go without either.
What are the issues? Because that matters. If he had an addiction
right.
to self-pleasure, I could see why he wouldn't want to go back to that.
Right.
But there are other things that could be done to make sure that that's not a thing.
Yeah. What if he is the type of guy who doesn't want to turn to corn?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it selfish of me to feel like this is genuinely a him problem and not a me problem?
Oh, so you guys don't live as one. They're not married, are they?
No, they are boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yes, I do believe that is selfish of you to think that it's just a him problem. I genuinely do. This is somebody that you have dedicated yourself to. I mean, you're not married.
You're living together.
You are living together. If you've been living together for an extended period of time, like 3 to 4 years, at that point, I would say you're pretty much...
Yeah, you're playing married at that
You're
point.
playing married. You're playing house. So for you to say that this is what I'm going through, this sucks for me, it can't suck for you. You just have to accept that this is what's going on. That is pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think there needs to be a sit-down conversation of, I want to keep the intimacy alive, and that's why I'm flirty with you. Because, you know, my sex drive's low. I'm having that pain down there. We can't do the main entrance.
Right.
So what are things that I can do to help keep the intimacy alive that's not going to give you that false hope that it's actually going to happen?
Right.
I would also say that you kind of have to, you're his woman. If you can't have the downstairs Disneylands, you have to look into other options.
Why hasn't she gotten the IED?
IUD.
The explosive device.
Right.
Why hasn't she gotten this thing removed from her yet?
That's a very good question.
It isn't, I mean, I've never had one, but I would imagine that it's a very small incision, so much so that they just small cut, pull it out, stick a Band-Aid over it and call it a day.
Yeah,
Like a surgery strip, not an actual Band-Aid, but you know what I mean?
I've never had an IUD. From the people in my life who have had one, they're in and out. They make the appointment, they take it out, bandage them up, and they're gone.
Yeah. So if this is something that's causing you back pain, which really sucks, you're having breathing issues, your libido's gone, you're having pain in your nether yayas.
I like that.
Big Bang Theory.
I thought it was pretty spicy, especially the part where he kisses her nether yaya.
I've never heard that. I didn't watch all the Bang Theory.
Oh,
so.
we're going to have to do that from the beginning.
Yeah?
I fucking loved that show.
I watched it when it first came out, like a few episodes, but at that point we only had cable.
Yeah.
So if we missed it, we missed it.
Yeah. I bought all of it on DVD when I still had a DVD player. Anyways, so you're having all of these problems and you're just like, fuck it, I'm going to live with this?
Well, next sentence. I'm getting my birth control removed next month to help with my health issues, but that's all I can do right now on my end.
I mean, you could do it a lot sooner than next month.
Well, if that's the only time the doctor could fit her in.
You find another doctor.
So
it's not, I really, maybe that is considered a surgical procedure. I gotta be honest. I don't know. I probably shouldn't say that on YouTube.
So good, getting the birth control removed. I disagree. That's all you can do on your end right now. It's really not.
Yeah.
You really could be doing so much more. And I don't know if it's because you're depressed or you're feeling, lackluster as his woman, as like you're not living up to it. I don't know if your self-worth is a little bit low, if your self-esteem's damaged. There's certainly so much more that you could be doing.
Yep. You think that comes down to a selfishness? If I can't get mine, you're not getting yours, or I'm not going to be a part of you getting yours.
I don't know because I've never had that mindset.
Me either.
You have anything you want to add?
No, I this is one of those things that should be a very simple solution.
Yeah.
And there's a whole lot going on there that's not being mentioned that's creating these problems, I think.
I think there's a lot of emotion going on, and those emotions need to be put on the back burner a little bit and just hear what the situation is for each person.
Yeah.
So she says, I can't help how I've been feeling. He seems I can just change that. I don't know advice. Everything that we just said.
Yeah. You don't have to be in the mood to make your partner happy.
Correct.
And that doesn't mean you got to sleep with them. There's a whole lot of other things that you can do to meet those needs. It's sometimes you have to sacrifice for the people you love.
Look into a love menu.
What is a love menu?
So it's something I've been seeing a lot on my TikTok. And there's this couple. I'm so bad at remembering people's names on TikTok. But there's this couple, and I'm sure you guys have seen them. They're more of like I don't want to say hippie, but they're very like free flowing. They remind me of like 70s hippies. And they are the first couple who have ever mentioned a love menu. And I go, what the fuck is that? So it is a menu of things to where if somebody's in the mood and the other person isn't, they both sit down and they look at other options. So if you're not going to have intercourse, what else can we do to satisfy the need that you have?
Well, that's something new.
Next one is called Different Belief Systems.
Uh-oh.
And this is a short email. It's like 3 sentences.
Uh-oh.
I love y'all's podcast. My husband and I have come a ways just because of y'all. I do have a problem though, and I don't know if you've touched on it or not. How do you deal with having different beliefs? My husband is a die-hard Christian, and I believe in the possibility, but I wholeheartedly believe in evolution and things like that. We can't seem to have an intellectual conversation about it without someone getting worked up about the difference between belief and fact.
We just don't have those conversations then.
How do you deal with the differences like this? This is really our only problem.
It's not a problem. You just don't have those discussions.
If
Because you're not going to change his faith. And if
Mm-hmm.
you're not willing to believe that there could be something out there bigger than us, you just need to not have those discussions.
Right.
It's as simple as that. It's like if you were left and he was right in politics, you guys are going to have issues when you bring that up. Don't talk about it.
If he wants a Christian woman, he should have gotten with a Christian
I
woman.
agree with that. Yep.
I agree. If you guys are going to dedicate yourselves to each other, this needs to be a off topic. Like, we don't visit this conversation. We don't have this conversation. You have your beliefs. I have mine. Clearly, every time we try to have a conversation, we get too into our emotions about it.
How often are you having conversations about evolution in your house?
I don't think
Have
it's
we
just
ever had a
evolution.
conversation about evolution? Ever?
I mean, we have when we're watching documentaries or whatever, but we've never just had a just checking in. Do you still believe in evolution?
We know that evolution is real in a sense that when you adapt and overcome to your surroundings, that is a form of evolution.
Correct.
Like,
We are both followers of Christ.
right.
I'm not going to speak for you. Evolution exists.
Right. Well, it to an extent it absolutely does.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a missing link when you look at Darwin's theory of evolution that brings monkey to man.
Right. And even scientists have said we can't figure out what this missing link is.
Right. So you're at that point you're believing in a theory.
Mm-hmm.
And if you believe in a theory, it's a fucking theory. Are you saying that you can't believe in God? Because from that standpoint, you can't prove God exists either. I mean, you can.
Right.
The miracles that I've seen is all the
Mm-hmm.
proof I need. But isn't that really the same thing? Like when you really
Right.
break it down, it is
Yeah.
the same concept.
Everything, not everything, but a vast majority of things right now going on in the world, we really don't have any knowledge on the millions and billions of years that the planet has been here.
Right.
So, I don't know. It just seems exhausting.
Yeah. I would just not talk about it.
There was a time up until about 6 months ago that you and I had different belief systems, and it was never an issue. We had the same relationship. I mean, we've evolved.
Oh no.
We've evolved. We have definitely unlocked new levels in our relationship, and we've leveled up. we've always had that, the traditional values and the love and
Respect for each
the
other.
respect and the loyalty and the dedication and the devotion. Yeah. It's always been there. And we never really talked about religion.
Right.
And we did. It was never arguments. You would bring up things and I would listen and I would talk about whatever I'm talking about and you would listen.
I can understand if somebody's like a diehard Christian and they are one of those people who, if you're not a follower of Christ, you're wrong. And like, there are people that take that to an extreme and that's the way their belief system works. Mm-hmm. I don't. That's not how my belief system works. And that's my relationship with God. Like there's, you know what I mean? So like, I'm not going to treat people that way. I don't know. I think in this scenario, the easy answer is just don't have those discussions.
I agree.
And when you feel yourself starting to have that discussion, be like, hey, I don't want to argue with you. And this is going to turn into an argument. So I would like to change the topic, please.
Yeah. You
don't have to be mean about it. Just recognize that it's coming. Shut that shit down and move on to the next thing.
All right. So my fiance yells a lot. New email. I'm emailing you not to bash my fiance, but to get better advice on the situation. Currently, we've been together for 2.5 years, and I won't go into detail. But when we argue and disagree, he tends to raise his voice a lot without noticing he does this.
You know how many times we've said on this podcast, if you're going to send us emails, to send us details?
Yeah. Constantly.
I'm not going to go into too many details. Well, that makes it really difficult to address your problem.
I have been guilty in the past of doing this as well, but since being pregnant and having our baby, I have tried to calm down a lot.
Have tried to calm down a lot, not have calmed down a lot.
Right, so you're trying, but you're still doing it.
Right.
This is something you guys should have worked on before having a child.
No shit.
That poor kid.
Yep.
It'll come to a point he is raising his voice around our son, and I'm very uncomfortable with that. I will calmly ask him to stop raising his voice around him, and he says he's not. Then after the 5th time I've mentioned it, I end up yelling because it makes me angry that he doesn't listen to me.
So you want to control him. Instead of going, I don't like the way that you're treating me right now.
Walk away.
I'm going to go ahead and leave for a little bit. And when you're calm, let me know and I'll come back home.
If this were me in this situation, you would get that one baby raising your voice. You know, if you haven't had a conversation about working on this, you need to have the conversation about working on this. So after having the conversation of, we have a son now, I know you don't recognize when you're doing it. And I'm not just saying it to be a bitch. I want us to grow together and be the best versions that we can for our son. So I need gentle reminders. If I start raising my voice and you catch it and you be like, hey, babe, bring it down just a little bit.
Here's the thought process. If you're not emotionally mature enough to have a conversation without screaming at somebody, you're not emotionally mature enough to be a parent.
Right.
Because you're going to get mad at them kids and you're going to start screaming and yell at the kids the way you scream and yell at your partner before you fucking had kids.
Mm-hmm. So that conversation needs to be had where both of you will agree to keep each other in check. And then once the conversations start to happen, if he doesn't, and he raises his voice and you hit him with the babe, we had the conversation. You're raising your voice a little bit. I'm just letting you know so you can recognize that it's happening and bring it back down. And then he continues yelling. I would say, okay, I've given you the warning. You disregarded it. I am going to take our son and I'm going to leave for a little bit. You can have some time to calm down. When I come back, we can try to have this conversation again when we're calm. You don't have to stay for this. The fact that you stayed and reminded him 5 times, and then at that point, you're yelling at him as well.
Yeah. Doing the exact same thing.
You guys need to research how an infant's brain develops. Everything you're doing right now is affecting your child's brain and how it's growing.
Yep.
Everything you're doing. He's not going to remember you and daddy yelling in front of him, but he's going to have some fucked up things he's going to have to work through later on in life and not understand why his brain works this way. I don't do well when there's children involved.
That's going to continue even past infancy and toddler stages. If they can't get that shit under control and it goes into the early years of life, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, that will be remembered. I remember my parents fighting all the way back to my earliest memories.
Mm-hmm. And then when he becomes a teenager, not only are you going to have your husband yelling at you, you're now going to be arguing with your child.
Right, because you guys aren't emotionally mature enough to have conversations.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to argue with people.
You really don't. You can just leave.
You can say, okay, and then just stop talking.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can leave. Or you can go, hey, you're raising your voice right now. I don't deserve that. So unless you're willing to talk to me like a human being and show me the same respect that I'm currently showing you, even though you're yelling at me, we're just not going to have this discussion.
Yeah.
This conversation is over.
She goes on to say, then he says, oh, now you're doing it. This is hard because I want to be able to have a calm disagreement around our son. Well, he's right because now you're doing it.
Yep.
And you are wrong for doing that. He is wrong for not checking himself in the first place. You allowing yourself to get escalated to the point to where you're matching his energy is 100% on you, and it is a choice. He recognizes it once he calms down, or if we talk about it when we're not arguing, but still continues to do it when we argue.
It's probably because he's frustrated and doesn't know how to deal with his emotions.
Or he feels like you're not hearing him.
Could be that too.
If he's raising his voice in an argument and he doesn't recognize he's doing it, it's because he's probably in fight or flight mode. Something is going on that he doesn't feel like you're actually hearing him. So subconsciously, he is raising his voice because the mind equates volume to understanding.
Yeah.
And if that's the problem, pure speculation, we don't know that's the issue. If that is the problem, I would recommend asking him, what can I do to avoid you raising your voice? Are you feeling like I'm not hearing you? Do you feel like I'm not understanding you? Do you feel I'm brushing you under the rug? Would you like me to repeat back to you what you just said so you know that I understood? Yeah,
that's normally the best way to make the yelling stop, or before it gets to that point. If you can tell he's getting frustrated, be like, this is what I'm hearing you say. Am I right? And repeat it. And then if he's like, that's not what I said, be like, okay, then I need you to repeat yourself so that I can understand. And just have that conversation, and you get it until you do the same thing again. Okay, this is what I just heard. Is this what you're saying? And you do that until he's like, yes, that's what I'm saying. And then you'll get it because you've equated it back to him or replayed it back to him. That is the easiest way to not have screaming and yelling in an argument.
Correct.
I think that that's the root of screaming and yelling. People having a conversation back and forth and then making a point and the partner making another point that's not relevant to what's being met. And they're doing the back and forth thing and not listening to each other. One's trying to resolve one point and one's trying to resolve the other. And that's where that conflict comes in. And you're right. When you say something to someone and they don't hear you, your natural thing is to raise your voice.
Yeah.
Because maybe they didn't hear me. Let me talk a little bit louder.
Yeah.
And then you start getting angry because you're getting tired of repeating yourself, and there's emotions involved in all of that. And that you just take a break. Stop. There's no reason for that. You don't need to. What is that solving? You're both getting angry. You're getting worked up. You're screaming at each other. You really think that's going to solve anything? Because it's not. You're going to end up angry and then separating anyways till you calm down and then either forget the conversation happened or just refuse to rehash it because you don't want to argue anymore. And there's absolutely no conflict resolution.
This could be incorrect. I don't recall where I heard it. I was listening to a psychologist. And from what I recall, this would qualify as child abuse. Creating a hostile environment where both parents are screaming and yelling at each other in front of the child can be classified as child abuse.
I mean, if that's what a psychiatrist said, that's what a psychiatrist said. I got nothing on that one. I disagree with that. But
why?
Because every child on the planet that has ever lived has heard their parents argue.
Right. If it's a repetitive thing where they're constantly screaming at each other and can't resolve anything, that's a day-to-day thing, that's a problem.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that having arguments in front of your child after a certain age teaches them conflict resolution, and the way that you handle those conversations is going to teach your children how to handle their issues growing up.
Right.
So if you have parents that are screaming and yelling like they are, child's going to scream and yell like they are. Then they're going to scream and yell at each other. And then when they're teenagers, it's going to be a fucking asshole kid.
And now your asshole kid's going to do that to some poor girl.
That's it.
Or some poor guy, whomever he decides to start dating.
It's going to start that cycle.
You're going to start generational trauma. And then your child's going to fuck up somebody. And then that person's going to fuck up somebody else.
Yep.
And it all stems because you two couldn't get your shit together.
Because you were not emotionally mature enough to have a conversation.
When you think about the ripple effect of your actions, it's absolutely insane.
Yeah. When you think about how easy it is to just pause for a minute and be like, I'm getting really frustrated right now. I need a minute. Why would you not do that? The idea of like getting into a screaming match just doesn't fucking do it for me. It takes a lot for me to raise my voice. It takes a lot for me to raise my voice. If I start like getting animated, I know that I have to stop and take a breath because I don't have the energy for that shit. That energy could be put into something that's going to benefit me. And having an argument, even a disagreement that is heated, is not benefiting me. I'm not going to change your mind. You're not going to change mine. We need to come to an understanding and go about our fucking day. I don't understand why people put that kind of fucking energy into things.
Yeah.
These are the same people that are like, oh, I love my woman. I'd do anything for her. Yeah, then shut up. Quit fucking screaming.
Quit screaming at your woman.
Yeah. Women, that goes for you too. You say you're going to do anything for your man. Don't fucking nag and control. Don't scream and yell at him. Like,
if you say you're going to do anything for your child, don't scream at your husband in front of your child.
You're going to show your kid what a hypocrite looks like.
Be a person of your word. If that means you need to walk away, walk away.
Yep.
Not even in this situation of that email, just in general. If the resolution means you need to walk away and end the relationship, whether it be with a family member, a friend, a person you're romantically involved with, somebody you're friends with benefits with, do it. Anything else? Next email is called Compromise. I've been listening to your podcast, and the advice you've given has made me realize a lot of things that my partner and I have been working on. The question I have, though, is something that we've been struggling with for a long time. Whenever I'm mad, I would want some quiet time to let the emotion die down a bit. My partner, however, doesn't like it when I become quiet. It triggers her. But if I keep talking, what I'm afraid of is just saying something I shouldn't. We've tried to compromise as much as we can, but in the heat of the moment, it just doesn't work. I would appreciate both your perspectives on the matter. I want this to work out with my girlfriend, but this just seems like something we can't find a solution to. So in this instance, your girlfriend needs to learn to become okay with you walking away for a minute.
Yep.
I would rather you walk away from me for 25 or 30 minutes than say something that I'm going to think about for the rest of my life.
Right. And that's exactly how that plays out for most people.
Yeah.
Why would you want to intentionally say something, even out of anger, that is going to hurt your person? Because you saying something out of anger is really how you feel. You just don't have that filter anymore because you're frustrated in the moment. You're going to let that shit out. Just don't do that. It's really that fucking simple. Like, I'm starting to get mad right now. I need you to leave me alone for a few minutes. And if she's one of those people that needs that instant conflict resolution, you need to tell her, like, you're not going to get resolution making me angry. I'm starting to get mad. Like, we need to calm down. I need to calm down, and then we need to finish this discussion, but I need time to do that. If
you weren't angry at the beginning of the conversation and her pushing makes you angry, so if you're not angry at the beginning of the conversation and that's something that builds up in the conversation because she keeps pushing for a resolution, or she sounds like a very anxious person.
Yeah.
Very anxious person. Probably has an anxious attachment style.
She could also see that it's him ignoring her in the moment.
Yeah.
This is still, I don't know.
Well, she says it triggers her when he becomes quiet. So there's some things she hasn't worked through.
Right. But we also don't know how he's being quiet.
Right.
If he just stops talking and she's motor mouth over there screaming and yelling and he's not saying anything, that he could be detaching. Like, there could be a whole lot of things going on inside of him while he's being quiet and she's fucking going Fruit Loops over there. Is he not going, hey, I need to process what you just said. Give me a minute. Or, hey, you're starting to raise your voice and it's starting to affect my emotional state. I need you to calm down and just give me a few minutes. Or is he just being silent while she's losing her shit? Because there's no communication there. At that point, I could see where she's getting frustrated. If you were to say something to me and I didn't acknowledge you, and you were to say it again and I didn't acknowledge you, and you were to say it again and you could tell that I'm
been like, listen here, fucker.
Right.
I know you hear me.
See how frustrating that would get?
Yeah.
Like, it comes down to the emotional maturity to be like,
well, she said that she's not frustrated. He said she's not frustrated. She becomes triggered. So when she's triggered, she's in a panicking moment. So she's looking for that resolution to satiate the panic that she's having. So that my reaction would be, I wouldn't be triggered and anxious and thinking that you're going to leave me because you're not responding to me. I'd be like, how disrespectful of you to ignore me as your wife when I'm trying to have a conversation with you.
Right. But wouldn't that also come down to exactly what I said in the response that he would be giving or that I would be giving to you? Because if you were talking to me and I just stopped speaking to you and sat in silence while you were trying to talk, that would be a very different scenario than me going, hey, I'm processing what you said. I need a minute.
Right. That would be very different scenario for me. Because she's triggered and panicking, I don't think it matters what he says to her. She wants that resolution.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't say what says triggers her is that when he stops talking.
Right.
We don't know how he stops talking.
Right. So if there hasn't already been a conversation of, I stop talking because I'm shutting down so I don't blow up on you,
Right.
then conversation has to be had.
That was my point.
If you guys, so he said we try to compromise as much as we can, but in the heat of the moment, it just doesn't work. If you guys are trying to figure out how to make this work in an argument, you're never going to do it. These conversations need to happen outside of an argument. So in the heat of the moment, and you say, I need a minute, she's going to think logically for one moment and be like, this is what he told me.
Yep, y'all need a safe word. When I get overwhelmed, I'm going to say this word and you're going to know to shut up.
Yeah. And the safe word could be anything.
Yeah. People really need to be doing the check-ins.
They really do. You guys just need to have basic conversations of how you react in certain situations.
Yep.
You know how you are as a human being. Next one.
Sure. Shua.
Stress and depression. I truly love and admire you and your wife. You remind me a lot of my husband and I. We have been together 14 and a half years. Since starting to listen to your podcast, I feel you have encouraged me to be a much better wife.
Love that.
I wanted a little advice from you guys. My husband is a business owner. He has had his own business for 6 years, and the business is booming. He is beyond stressed though with everything business related and being a business owner.
That's probably because he doesn't have a good team under him.
He goes through periods of depression because of it. He loses motivation to get anything done. It's so hard to see him lose that. Do you have any advice for me? How to keep him motivated? What to do when he goes through these rough patches? I wanted to add that I am his secretary and bookkeeper in the business.
What do you think I'm going to say? From a business standpoint, what do you think my answer would be there?
I have so many things going through my mind.
So she's the secretary and bookkeeper, which means she's working for the business doing the paperwork. That's basically a receptionist.
Right.
He needs to hire a manager to delegate responsibilities to lessen his workload. It's as simple as that. If the business is booming, if you own a business and you have enough profit coming in to justify hiring somebody to do a job, hire the fucking people to do the job. The loss in profit is going to gain you a peace of mind, and that peace of mind and the time that you're spending that you would gain is priceless. I can't stress that enough. If you can delegate responsibilities to other people to lessen your workload, that's the answer. Anybody that doesn't have a general manager or managers in a business, no matter how big or small it is, like if you've got 2 employees, you don't really need that because you're not really in a big enough business that like you're that overworked. At that point, really, you're working with helpers. But if you get to the point, I don't know what he does, but if he gets to the point that he's got multiple jobs going and multiple crews running, like you hire managers to delegate some of that responsibility. I would rather take a pay loss and free up some of my time than to fucking make a killing and be super stressed and depressed all the time over it.
Yep.
Do the books. if you're making $40,000 to $50,000 a year in profit over what you need to survive, hire someone. That first year, you're going to notice that 40 to 50 gone in terms of pay every month. But the back end of that, when you start to notice your revenues going up because you have a bigger team now and you're able to take on more work, and so are they, it's fucking worth it. And a $40,000 to $50,000 a year job is pretty dope for somebody just starting out. And as you start to gain more money and make more money off of what they're doing, you give them a fucking raise.
Yeah.
Yep. That's my answer to everything. Anytime somebody reaches out with business stress, hire somebody. Delegate responsibility. That's always my answer. My number one answer is, do you have a manager? Have you hired anyone yet? Even if it's a fucking personal assistant.
Yeah.
You know that I put a post out on my Facebook page the other day. Oh, I guess you don't because you deleted your Facebook.
Correct.
I made a post the other day looking for a video crew. If I could get somebody to video us while we're out together doing shit locally, like if we wanted to go take pictures or when we went to Jordan and I could have somebody actually handling the camera and we could just talk and do our thing, I'm willing to pay for it at this point.
Yeah.
Because I want to be a part of the podcast when we're out, not just me videoing you or taking your pictures. If AJ was here, I would teach him how to use all this shit. And like, I would be like, all right, bro, we're going to do this, and this week. I need you at these times. Like, let's go.
Did anybody say anything? On
I had 2 people tag people that I already know. One of them I'm not willing to work with. And the other one has his own business and it's not video stuff. Like I'm not trying to, that's just not feasible.
Right. Not trying to take a stitching away from his business.
I'm not even going to ask him to do that. If somebody was like, hey, can you come do video for me? I'm like, no.
Right. Next email.
Yes.
Therapy at the start of a relationship.
Therapy before the start of a relationship. There's your answer.
Before. Hello, I've watched a lot of y'all's content on TikTok. Something resonates with me about all of the advice that I hear from you both.
But you don't watch on YouTube, which means you're missing a ton of content. And I'm willing to bet whatever is in this email has already been answered on YouTube at least once.
Yes, it has.
Yep, there you go.
You just want to skip this?
Nope, I want to read it.
Okay.
Just so I can be like, see, I told you that was on YouTube.
My current partner and I are both in DBT together. He enrolled after me as it was a requirement for me to have a partner that was willing to do self-work with me after having a lot of relationships with communication issues and issues emotionally that I have found that therapy has helped me a lot with.
Okay. So they started a relationship with expectations.
Correct.
That's good. That's good. That's super fucking healthy.
I love that she was already doing it
Yep.
before she got into the relationship, and then he was willing to do it with her. That's a solid foundation.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a solid start to working on your foundation. I have been supporting and cheering him on from the sidelines, and he has seen a huge improvement on his outlook on life, as well as being able to better manage his anxiety and people-pleasing tendencies. That people-pleasing will destroy you.
Yeah. Yep.
People-pleasing is another thing that will make you a shell of a human being. We almost have a routine. We got out of therapy, talk about things that we liked, what was difficult, and then we use what we learned in scenarios that have either happened in the past or something that we are struggling with, usually stress from work. Scenarios is another one of those things on that ever-scrolling list.
These chairs really don't feel any different to you than the black ones?
No. They all hurt my back the same.
I fucking hate these chairs. Like hate these chairs.
Yeah.
There's a strong possibility I may order those chairs when that whiskey wall's done.
Okay. We have a very open communication system, have a decompression schedule that works for us, and overall, our life together over 1 year has been so peaceful that we have only had one argument with no invalidation creeping in.
This sounds like everything we discuss on the podcast.
Yeah.
Decompression time, proper communication.
And they have a schedule for their decompression time.
Yeah.
So they know, all right, when I get home today, it's Friday, she's going to be in the bath until 7 o'clock.
Yep.
I love that. That was just an example. I hate that I have to clarify shit.
You don't have to.
You're right. I don't have to. It just makes my life easier. You know, I can't remember where I saw it. It was on some platform. Somebody said that we are telling people how to live their lives. That this is what you have to do. It's almost ingrained in me now to clarify the things that I mean.
That's because we got so much hate in the beginning of all of this.
Yeah.
What we're doing works, so you should probably keep clarifying because the podcast is growing. I don't.
So, just for clarification, nothing we ever say is a demand. You have to do what we say or your life is going to be miserable, because that's not the truth.
Yeah.
That is not what we are doing.
If that was the case, we'd have millions of subscribers.
We would have millions of subscribers and we would be like...
Yeah, because we would tell them to subscribe and they would.
I mean, they do.
They don't, because we're only at like 80,000 and not 5 million, which is how many views we've had.
Oh, yeah. If everybody subscribed every time we told them to?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we'd be...
Right.
Just on TikTok, I'd be at like 10 million.
Crazy.
But if you guys have ever felt like we have been telling you that this is the lifestyle to live or you're going to be miserable forever, that's not the case. What we are doing is trying to give you our thought processes on situations, the way that we intake information and the way that we give it.
And the shit that's worked for us.
Right.
And the shit that's worked for thousands of other people at this point.
I didn't know how good it could be. I've never been able to trust anyone in my entire life the way that I have him. I just want to say that hearing how your husband has BPD and is open about his struggles on the podcast and and about how it can be difficult. Oh, fuck me. I just want to say that hearing how your husband has BPD and is open about his struggles on the podcast and about how it can affect the relationship dynamic is so nice and really makes me feel validated by an outside source, as I also have BPD. Do you feel that as a couple use therapy skills, and how do you feel like they improve your relationship?
That's our entire podcast.
The entire podcast.
Yeah.
Are there any difficulties that y'all have had in the past with using or implementing therapy skills?
Yeah, we've tried things that didn't work until we found out what works for the two of us. Mm-hmm. Again, that's the entire podcast.
Right. It's not a one size fit all.
It's not.
It really is. Isn't. My brain, I'm having a really hard time making my thoughts match my mouth because we think faster than we speak. Mm-hmm. So my brain, I thought about what I wanted to say 45 seconds ago, and I'm already 40 million miles ahead. And I'm saying what I'm already currently thinking, not what I thought about.
Right. Therapy, we've talked about this a lot on the podcast too. Therapy is literally a place you go to get tools. Mm-hmm. That's it. They're not doing anything for you.
No, it's not a cure-all.
They are giving you the tools for you to do the shit yourself. It's no different than what we're doing. We are giving you the tools that has worked for us so that you can try them. And if they work, great. And if they don't work, you tried, and then you can try something else.
Or you noticed, say you take 10 things from the podcast, only 2 of those things worked. Right. You take those 2 things, you see what they're doing, and then you can alter some of the other things. You customize them, and then you bring them in, and then you try that. You tweak it a little bit.
Yep.
Nothing has ever been discovered on the first try.
No.
This podcast is still not done with the evolution. It is constantly changing. We are constantly tweaking things.
That's 90% of my life right now.
Mm-hmm. Tweaking shit.
The audio has been a big one.
Mm-hmm. If you could recommend everyone go into therapy with their partner at the beginning of a relationship, do you think that more relationships would be more successful if both people put in the work and time?
No. Because not all therapy is created equal, and not all therapists are created equal.
Right.
It sounds to me like she's got a good therapist and she's trying to push therapy on people. Mm. There are people out there who can read a book and gain more from that single book than they would ever gain through therapy.
There are people who have learned more from 1 month of listening to our podcast than they have in 6 years of therapy.
Yeah, we've actually gotten that email.
We have received several emails.
Yeah.
There was one where someone said, I've been seeing a therapist for 15 years. And I just had one of my first massive breakthroughs watching you guys.
Yep. Therapy is not one size fits all. It's definitely a great place to go and get tools. It's the Home Depot of thoughts. It's where thinkers get shit done.
It is.
But you got to find a good therapist. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that takes going through a Rolodex of people to find someone you mesh with. Like, I don't know. You can learn a lot from fucking YouTube that you can learn to go into therapy. The how you get better isn't fucking as important as getting better. So if you have to read self-help books, read self-help books. If you got to go to YouTube, go to YouTube. If you got to listen to us, listen to us. If you got to listen to somebody else, listen to somebody else.
It's 1,000 ways to make a burger.
That's it. Fucking cheeseburger's a cheeseburger. Love me some cheeseburgers.
I know this is dependent by overall compatibility as well, but statistically, how much more often do you feel relationships would work out if couples started out learning communication skills via therapy or otherwise? I think you should already know how to communicate before you get into a relationship. Mm-hmm.
We've talked about all this.
If you don't already know how to communicate, you can't fine-tune your communication with the person you're with.
Right. And you are going to have to fine-tune it because you guys aren't going to be on the same frequency. You'll be close.
I was just about to say everybody's on a different frequency. Yep. So you just got out of a relationship. Your frequency is now tuned into yourself. Now you're getting with somebody else. All of your other frequencies that you have known is not going to match this person.
Right.
So you're going to have to turn that fucking dial and try to figure out and be like, okay, it's a little bit more clear here, but it's still a little bit static.
Yep.
If you could tell a new couple one thing you have learned from life and or therapy that you feel has helped your relationship succeed, what would it be?
She is really pushing that therapy shit.
She really is pushing that therapy.
I don't like that.
It is making me a little bit uncomfortable. Like you said, you have a really good therapist.
Right.
Not everybody has had fantastic therapists. So therapy is not the only way to make yourself better, as we have already said.
Yep. Therapy is a place to go to get tools. That's it.
It's one avenue. There's boats, there's cars, there's airplanes. Therapy is a boat.
Yep.
You could also take a car, you could take a plane, you could take a train. There are people who have those little fucking hoverboards now. There are so many different forms of transportation. Doesn't matter what kind of transportation you take. It doesn't matter how long that transportation takes to get you there. What matters is you are getting to the final destination. And that's what I learned in life.
So to answer that question, the advice that I would give is everybody needs to read Choice Theory by William Glasser.
I agree with that. I do want to say I love that therapy has helped this person so much.
Yeah, me too.
This person's ecstatic and I love it. I'm here for the excited energy. I just want it to be known that is really not the only avenue.
Right.
To get to the point of where this person is now with the dope relationship and the communication and everything's working.
Right. But in 6 or 7 months from now, when that person splits from their therapist and actually has an episode where they're splitting and doesn't view the therapist in the light that they're viewing their therapist in, that email would look very different.
Yeah.
That's borderline. Mm-hmm. She's on a fucking high right now and views her therapist as her person. And when that falls apart, that therapy love and passion is not going to be there anymore.
Borderline's so insane.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I've actually seen that shit happen. They talk about that too in Buddha and the Borderline. That's a discussion that gets brought up.
What, therapy?
That whole splitting with the therapist thing.
Oh. That's crazy. I didn't know that would be specifically addressed. I didn't know that was such a prevalent thing.
Splitting is fucking huge with borderline.
I know splitting is, but specifically with a therapist.
Well, because people will get attached to the therapist. Like if you borderline, it's very common for borderline patients to fall in love with a therapist.
Oh.
It's also a common thing because you finally feel like somebody understands you and like you're getting there's a closeness that comes from that. And it's hard for us to separate those things.
You're like the separation of this is a profession versus
right.
Okay.
They're doing a job, you know.
Yeah. That doesn't mean your therapist doesn't care about you.
No, not at all.
Your therapist does. It is. They wouldn't be in your life otherwise.
Right. Well. Yeah.
Your therapist isn't going to meet you for dinner.
No.
You know.
Yeah, there's a lot of inappropriate things that happen. People with borderline attach. And then they detach. It's like the splitting thing. And they have abandonment issues. And the first time they need their therapist and their therapist is on vacation and can't give them exactly what they need in that moment, they'll probably split. They don't care about me. Fuck them. Why am I doing this? It becomes a whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah. We should buy you a hard copy of Buddha and the Borderline so you can read through that book.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a really, really good book. That book, I mean, I've read a lot of borderline books trying to understand me better. Mm-hmm. But that one gave me the most information about why I do some of the things that I do and to help me like truly get it. And a lot of it just comes down to emotional and logic brain thinking. I've become a very logic brain thinker. Like I don't get emotional over much of anything anymore. I might get passionate about a conversation, but it's not emotion based. Mm-hmm. If it was emotion based, like it would be a very different outcome for me than a normal person when they get emotional.
To be honest, I'm kind of scared to read that book.
Why?
Because I'm still trying to find, I've reached out to one borderline therapist in Tampa, and I have yet to hear back. So I'm still kind of just doing research on my own. And I think in reading that book, it's going to make me recognize a lot more things. Just now, you talking about people with borderline getting attached to their therapists. That happened to me when I was like 15 or 16, and I had a male therapist. Mm. Yeah. And then there was that one time I wanted to get in early, and his patient list was full. So it wasn't an option. I was like, he doesn't care.
Yeah, it's the thing.
I don't matter. Fuck this guy. And I stopped going to therapy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, worst comes to worst, you're going to read a book and take something away from it. You can find a piece of gold in almost every book you read. You just got to be willing to be patient enough to get through the book.
I think I take a lot from when I read books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can get through an entire book with one sentence being valuable and be like, that was a totally good read. Mm-hmm. So.
Next email.
Sure.
Dear Chris and Peaches, firstly, I would like to thank you for your content. It has been really helpful for my partner and I to discuss our relationship in a way that is non-confrontational. It has opened up a dialogue that I feel awkward to broach without third-party content to discuss. I would love your opinion and advice on this, but I understand you must get so many emails, so even if you don't get around to reading this, I would believe that physically writing it out will help me get it out of my head. I apologize if this is confusing. Please let me know if you need any further clarification. I would also like to preface that I will be using the term crossing my boundaries instead of getting lap dances from strippers, as those terms can trigger me, but I would like to get through this email with a level head. Also, I do see this as cheating, but I have no evidence that he did cheat on me in the most well-known sense. I also view that as cheating.
So do I.
Yeah.
So do I. You are getting an emotional need filled. No emotional need filled. That you should be allowing your partner to do for you.
So what would you say to all the dudes? It's not an emotional need. I just like ass. She's just shaking her ass.
You don't think that's an emotional need? You don't think that that's a base desire? That's not logical brain thinking? Get some post-nut clarity and tell me I'm wrong.
Ooh.
All that money you spend at a strip club, go rub one out before you go to the strip club and tell me you still want to go to the strip club. It's an emotional need.
I love that you said that.
It's the way I view it.
Oh, you're so hot.
We really are, as a whole, in America, emotionally fucking weak as hell.
Oh yeah.
It's pathetic.
Oh yeah. It makes me kind of sad to think about with how our kids are being raised, that they're going to be raised in a generation with a lot of very weak-minded individuals.
Yeah.
And they're not going to have they're going to be us.
Yeah.
Unless they go down other roads.
I would rather them be like us and have an overall strength and character that others lack than to be like other people.
Yeah.
I don't care if that makes me sound like I have a superiority complex or whatever, but like I really look down on weakness.
Me too.
Especially for people that aren't doing the things to build themselves up. Mm-hmm. And it's not even I'm better than you. Because it's not. I have a whole bunch of shortcomings. I know that shit, but I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I want to clarify, my life is dope. I am very happy. There are times where you and I look at each other and be like, you want to go to a concert? Concert would be fun. It's a lot of people, though. Let's not go.
Yeah, happens all the time.
So we do enjoy our activities. The thought of things are nice. Mm-hmm. But actually going out and doing it, I'm good.
Yeah.
And we don't have that close-knit friend circle where we go out and do things once a month. And it can get a little bit lonely. You're right. I would rather the kids have that versus fake friends and people using them and backstabbing. And
yeah. You'll never be betrayed by an enemy.
Yeah. My partner and I have been together for 7 years. We are not married, but have 2 children together. We were engaged at one point, but we split up soon after our first child was born and got back together. We have discussed the topic since then, but have not been in the best financial position to do so.
What are you doing to change that? That goes for all of you.
Yeah, that's a very good question. If you're in a poor financial situation, what are you going to do about it?
Yep.
I want that on a t-shirt.
What you going to do about it?
What are you going to do about it? I've been asking people a lot of that recently.
Right, because when you do that, it makes them, you're engaging them and basically telling them they're a victim with a question. Mm-hmm. So they have to think about it. Because they can't look you in the face and be like, nothing.
Right.
Because then they have to admit the fact that it's their own shortcomings that's got them where they're at right now. Mm-hmm. I just don't like that shit. I don't care how stacked the deck is against you. You have options.
You really do.
It might be real fucking hard. But I got to be honest, I'd rather face that hard than look back at my life with fucking resentment and regret for all the shit that I could have done that I didn't.
This is going to be a very dark analogy. I have thought a lot about being in situations where I'm held captive. Because I would rather think about those situations. I've watched videos, like I've practiced shit with zip ties on my wrists and like
Zip ties are really easy to get out of.
I know. I've tried it with handcuffs.
Duct tape too.
There was a time where I was trying to learn how to dislocate my shoulder in case I ever needed to. Getting kidnapped was very prevalent for me, especially when I wasn't all tattooed, like I looked like a normal person. Being tattooed and pierced makes me less likely to be trafficked. When I wasn't looking like this, I wanted to make sure like I could do whatever I needed to do to not just let things happen. So, if I were in a situation where I am forcibly put into a straitjacket, you best believe I'm going to dislocate my shoulder. I'm going to break whatever I need to break to get out of that thing instead of just sitting there and accepting what's about to come to me. You always have an option.
Right.
It's not going to be your favorite option. You're not going to want to do it. You always have an option. Do people not think about things like that?
I don't know. That's not something that I've ever put thought into. I've put thought into to escape shit.
Yeah.
And like the fact that is like SEER training. You know, you can do that as a civilian. It's not to the same extreme, but you can do that as a civilian. It's just about a matter of having a plan. I don't know. My thought on all that was obviously very different than yours because I wasn't thinking about being trafficked or put in a straitjacket.
What do you mean your thought process was
I was
different?
thinking about leveling up in life and like getting shit done and choosing your hard versus.
My point was you always have an option no matter how difficult the situation can be.
Right. Yeah, you're not always going to like the option, but you got one.
Right.
Agree with that.
That was my point in all of that.
Gotcha. You just went to real extremes to get it.
Yeah, very extreme. I think when I take things to the extreme, everything in front of that is less of a big deal.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
When you think about it, if you have the option of cooking something healthy tonight or going and get McDonald's and you hear, I'm in a straitjacket, am I going to break my arm to get out of it? I'm going to sit there.
All right, we're eating healthy so that she doesn't have to break her shoulder tonight.
Not that hard of a decision. And if that's not how you think,
It's not.
less chaotic than I am.
What would you say your alignment is in terms of D&D? Are you chaotic neutral?
I would say chaotic good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think I'm chaotic?
That was pretty fucking chaotic, babe.
Okay. I'm glad I'm living up to what I'm saying, you know. I would say chaotic good. If I can prevent something from bad happening, I'm going to do it, but it's going to be in the most chaotic way and they're never going to see it coming.
Yeah.
But I will egg some shit on. Pop into that Discord sometimes and be like, ooh, look, Peaches is here. I'll be like, you think I'm going to stop this? Do you remember what they just said 30 seconds ago? Fuel to the fire. Background information. My partner and I met when I was 19 and he was 26. We met while he was still in a previous relationship. And for that, we were both extraordinarily regretful and wish it hadn't gone down that way.
So they cheated.
Correct.
Okay.
So he showed you that he was already looking outside of his relationship for some sort of intimacy need. I'm tying that back to the crossing the boundaries comment. When I point things out like that, my goal is to show you, like, follow the line. You have all these push pins on a board, right? And you don't know how they correlate. And then when you recognize something from the past that correlated to something that happened between you two, you'd be like, oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you're able to start to connect more of those things together and you start to be able to see the full image of who this person is.
Right.
He was not happy in his relationship. Using his words, he felt like a pet. He and she did not see their relationship becoming a long-term commitment. But he does struggle with confrontation, so he didn't break up with her until we had been on a few dates. And he was sure he wanted to pursue a relationship with me.
That's not confrontation. That's fear of being alone.
That's a backup plan.
Yeah. Yep. Wonder if he was living with her and needed another place to live.
That really sounds like a backup plan.
Sounds like a whole lot of things. I mean, I could really rip that whole mindset apart.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, but I could. There's a whole lot there.
That mindset tells me I'm not happy here, but I'm not happy enough to be alone.
Right. How do you not look at that situation as a woman and be like, yeah, this is probably not a very good idea?
Right. I meant unhappy to be alone.
Right.
When we met, he worked away, so he would be gone 4 weeks and back for 1 week. He had since explained to me that he would disassociate from everything because it was such long hours and time away. 12 hours a day, 28 days in a row. The whole time he was working away is blurred for him. He doesn't remember most of it on top of... I'm sorry, are you telling me he's having like blackout moments where he doesn't remember extended periods of time because he's working long hours?
I actually don't think that's legal. I gotta be honest. I think that there's a cap that you can do that. Like you can only do so many days in a row at that schedule, and then you're required to take time off. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before.
I just want to clarify. Is that what's being said though?
Sounds like he's just exhausted.
Okay. The whole time he was working away is blurred for him, and he doesn't remember most of it on top of what he did. On top of that, he did say that he took so many drugs and alcohol, he doesn't remember anything from that either.
Well, there you go. That's why. And how are you taking drugs and alcohol on that level if you're working 12 hours a day?
Right.
Because it doesn't give you a whole lot of time left. You figure an hour in the morning to get ready to go to work. Then you work 12 hours. You figure an hour afterwards to decompress. It's 14 hours. You got 10 hours left. You're going to get like an hour or two of downtime before you sleep to do it all over again because you're going to be fucking exhausted. Mm-hmm. So if you waste six of those 10 hours
drinking,
it's just it's not a life.
I don't have a lot of experience with drugs, so I can only base my opinion on what he said. From very early on in our relationship, I found out through a mutual friend that he would visit strippers when he would go out with his friends until he was back. After, you know what? Good on that mutual friend. I would hope that somebody would tell me. Why are you looking at me like that?
Because I'm trying to see it from your standpoint. Because I can understand wanting to be told. But I have been that friend. And there's not a good place to be in that relationship. Because if I was friends with you and you were dating somebody else and that other person was doing something fucked up and I disagreed with it and I came and told you, I'm betraying that person. And I'm betraying the trust that person put in me by letting me know that they're doing those things so that I can run and tell you. That makes me a snitch. What if it's
heard through the grapevine?
What do you mean?
Like, so it's mutual friends. Say he's going out with his buddies. And one of his buddies messages him and goes, "Oh, dude, we're at the strip club," and sends like a selfie. And he was like, "Oh shit, is that Greg?" And be like, "Oh damn, dude, like now am I gonna have to tell his girl that he's at the strip club?"
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just a me thing. I was raised that you don't do shit like that. I would say something to him. If I had a friend that was doing something foul and I was disagreeing with it, I would pull him aside and be like, "Look, you're fucking up. Like you got a woman at home, you got kids." I would have that discussion with him. And if he chose to continue doing it, I would just disassociate with that person, but I'm not getting involved in his personal life. It's just not my place to say shit like that. It's the way I've always been. I see that as snitching. Like you just don't do that shit. If you don't like the actions that people are taking in your life, just get them out of your fucking life. It's way easier than getting caught up in a triangle of drama of he said, she said. He's showing you the type of person he is. If she wants to be with that type of person, that's their decision.
How would she know though?
That's not my problem. I'm not doing that. I'm not getting involved in other people's drama. It's going to disrupt my peace. It's going to create a whole lot of bullshit. Like I'm good on that.
Is that more Instagram stuff?
No, that was Dakota. We got an email from somebody that just heard the interview earlier and said that they can't find his Better Built Dogs LLC anywhere. And I sent him a screenshot of it because it's prevalent information. It was something that I forgot to ask him for. Like, give me your social media account so that people can find you. So I screenshotted it and sent it to him as a text. And he was like, "That's funny because I've gotten a ton of content. Like I've gotten a ton of people reaching out to me over the interview."
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a lot to learn about interviews. I was so excited to do that like there was a whole lot of things that I should have asked and done that I didn't do. I still think I did a good job.
Yeah.
I just hindsight.
I think it did go very well for the first one.
Yeah.
going off script with your questions, I think was a really good idea.
Why is that?
Your questions were more geared towards the conversation and had a direction. It wasn't a blanket broad, well, this could really be asking me anything at this point. I guess I'm just going to pick one thing and give an answer.
Yeah.
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 It's also things that people couldn't Google.
Right. I really want to get to the point where I'm having interviews with people and it's a discussion. I think that's why Joe Rogan does so well. Because he asks questions and then listens and lets them answer. And once people get talking, he can really just sit there.
Yeah.
And they'll just go. And he's getting these phenomenal interviews with people that are talking about what they're interested in. And you can hear it in their voice and the passion. And like, he just has to, as a good question comes up, ask the question to get the information. And I don't watch a lot of Joe Rogan podcasts, but the ones that I have seen have all been people that I care about, like that he's interviewed, and are always really good interviews. And I've noticed it's because he doesn't try to direct the conversation. He just lets them talk and chimes in when he needs to. And that's kind of what I wanted to do with the interviews.
I would say that's what you did. It was you weren't trying to control the conversation. You would let it flow a little bit, and you'd be like, okay, so going back to what we were discussing, like full circle, it was very fluid.
I'll get there. Thank you for that, though. That kind of made me feel pretty good.
Yeah.
Give myself a pat on the back of the neck, I guess, because I can't actually reach my back.
Yeah.
But
after thinking about it for 4 weeks, I brought up the topic wanting to explain that it made me uncomfortable. I had to think about what we were doing for a second.
Yeah. Yep. We went out yesterday and looked at those aprons, and you had that backless dress on.
Yeah.
You know how hard it is to focus on anything when you're dressed like that. And you weren't dressed poorly. You looked really fucking good. Everything was covered. There was enough back skin there, though, that my mind was in the gutter the entire time we were in public.
I like showing myself off for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only eyes I dress for are yours. I know that you get a kick out, though, when people are like, damn, like that's his.
Oh, I love that shit.
Yeah.
Yep. I like it when other dudes check you out when we're in public.
I couldn't care about those dudes.
No, I know you don't, which is part of the reason why I think I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But it's the way a woman conducts herself with her man in public says a lot about who he is as a man. Mm-hmm. And it's an unspoken man thing. You can tell, like you can learn a lot about a man by the way him and his woman interact. You just can.
Yeah.
You can tell about the respect in their home. You can the way he treats her. Like you can just by watching them two interact, you can ascertain a lot. Mm-hmm. So when other men are looking at you and see what we have in public, I'm like, yeah, motherfucker. Take notes, bitch. You might open up your little iPhone and hit the notepad and start documenting some shit because you need some help.
I love that for you.
I'm arrogant as fuck when we're in public.
I can't tell. Is it because I'm just a lady? Like, is it like the unspoken man thing?
It's a man thing. You ladies got your own shit too.
Oh yeah, no, we do. I make eye contact with women. We have our moment. There are someone who are differently, like, very judgmental. And there are some women who are like, okay, girl, high five. I see you. After thinking about it for 4 weeks, I brought up the topic, wanting to explain that it made me uncomfortable and that I wanted to hear his perspective. During the conversation, I didn't get to fully explain how I felt before he cut me off apologizing and saying that would never happen again.
So he's apologizing because he got caught.
Right. He wasn't even willing to listen about how you felt. He just wanted to avoid the conversation.
That's what it sounds like.
At the time, I felt that we had an open conversation, but in hindsight, I should have tried to further discuss or tried to explore his side more.
Right. There's a difference between harping on the conversation and actually having a discussion about it.
The discussion, the whole point is to understand each other.
Not to harp and nag.
Right. It's not to place blame. It's not to say you're vehemently wrong for this and you need to beg for my forgiveness on it. It's, I need to understand why you thought that this was okay, and I need you to hear how it hurt me. Accurate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's another way to look at it too, though, in that, it could be, I need to understand why you felt the need to do that.
Yeah, definitely. I think that has to be part of the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would have worded it that way because that's what I meant by why did you think that this was okay?
Right. But the connotation of that sounds judgmental and confrontational versus, what made you feel the need to do that? Because that is a feeling versus what makes you think that's okay.
Well, the way that you just said that, I can see how that's attacking.
Right. But even without the tone behind it, how you word things matters. I don't know that there's a lot that goes into that. And if he has, I don't know, I'd be speculating a whole lot of shit in that whole scenario. And there's not enough information there for me to know why or how. And I don't want to assume things. But they started the relationship while he was with someone else. So him going to a strip club doesn't surprise me. There are people that go to strip clubs and it doesn't faze the people they're with anyways. There are couples that go to strip clubs together. I don't know. There's a whole lot there that's just speculation.
Speculative and speculation. Those are the two words you were mixing.
Yeah. That.
I got you.
I got tired out of nowhere.
I'm exhausted, yeah. So I just had a whole little moment within myself right now while you were going on that dialogue.
Yeah.
And I tuned in at the last bit to catch that mashup. So in doing these podcasts, it's a lot.
It is.
It's a lot for our relationship. It really is. Because I just had that moment of, I said what I said and you were like, that's kind of attacking. And I was like, I mean, when you say it that way, yeah. And you're like, no, the words. And emotional mind is like, okay, fuck you. Logical mind.
That's so fucking funny to me, dude. Oh, man.
Why is it so funny?
It's just the face. The whole thing. There was not even eye contact there when you said it. You looked down. Like,
I can't look at you and say it. Because I don't mean it.
Yeah.
It's my emotional mind.
That shit's funny.
Totally illogical. Logical brain was like, you realize that he just told you how to talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens a lot with these things.
It really does. And it's in context that would never come up organically for us.
Right.
Outside of a disruption.
And in that disruption, we wouldn't be able to have this conversation.
Right.
That would have, if we were in that scenario and you talked to me like that, even if you were calm about it, I would come at you. I would see that as you coming at me sideways.
And I would have no idea because I think that the tone, that's crazy.
Yeah. I think words matter more to me than other people because I listen for intent. Mm-hmm. So like, something was said earlier and I caught it during this podcast and I was like, did you hear that? I don't remember what it was. But it was the way that she worded it.
Yes.
It was that she's still doing it. She was still arguing and raising her voice. Mm-hmm. I try to not do that. Yeah. Not I've stopped doing that. Like, we had a comment come through on one of the live chats where somebody was hoping to fall back into love with their partner. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't fall into anything. Like, you make shit happen. Like, I really believe that people word things intentionally.
Right.
So I'm listening to how you word things. So you saying to me, what makes you think that's okay is an aggressive thing versus why do you feel the need to go and do that when you could have come to me and we could have had this intimacy at home? It's a very different, I feel that's just a different way to have that conversation because I think the one is an I statement, one's a you statement. Because you're making, I guess maybe that's not true.
They're both a you statement.
Right, but one is an accusation and one is a question. I guess maybe they're both questions. I don't know. I don't know why it comes across that way to my brain. I really don't. I could sit here and speculate all day, but...
So, they are both questions, and they are both you statements. The first way that I said that, what made you think that was okay, to me is like an exploration question. After hearing what you said of, why did you feel the need to seek that out when you have it at home? I don't know. It feels warmer to me. Like that's more of an inviting question that I'd be more inclined to answer. I would still answer the other question. Probably would have been with an air of, you're right. I get it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, dope. Because I was having a real hard time trying to explain why it made my brain do what my brain did. And now your brain's doing it too. So
I get it.
Hopefully all of theirs is as well. And everybody's like, okay, we're all on board now because...
That's the difference between warm water feeling soft and cold water feeling pointy.
Your autism showing.
I get it. Like the first one, what made you think that's okay? Even though it said...
Cold water feels pointy?
It does, yeah.
I've never heard that before.
You've never heard that?
No. Is that really a thing for you?
Yes.
How?
When I drink warm water, it feels soft. I don't know. When I drink cold water, it's pointy. It wakes me up. I feel it. Feels pointy.
You ever wish you could just live in somebody's brain for a little while?
Constantly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because then I'd be like, I know exactly what you mean.
So.
Because right now I'm just getting a kick out of the fact that you called cold water pointy. I think cold water feels crisp when you drink it.
That's apple juice for me.
Okay.
Soda's fuzzy to me.
Well, yeah, it's fuzzy to everyone. It's got carbonation in it.
Yeah. I'm going to stop.
Okay. Yeah, we probably should. We could do this for a long time.
I could keep going. I remember why I brought up the water pointy thing.
Because of the way those two statements feel.
Oh, yeah. The first one, after hearing yours, I was like, damn, that does sound kind of cold. The other one made me feel more safe.
Yeah.
But I've never heard it phrased that way.
Do you think that's a cognitive bias? Do you think that the way you phrase that is something that you've heard, and the way that I phrase it is phrased that way because of the way that I've heard things? Or do you think that, like...
Yes. I do believe that's a cognitive bias.
Yeah. I don't like to accuse people of shit.
Yeah. How does that come across as accusatory, though?
I don't know. I don't know why it comes across as accusatory, but it does. I don't know why. I really don't. It could be.
Was it the made you?
Huh?
What made you feel like that was okay? Like there was an outside influence that was like, okay, this is a good idea for me. Like it took away your...
I have no idea why it makes me feel that way. I would really have to sit down and like process that for a while. I think the gist of it is that it just feels like you're accusing me of some shit, or there's like a fuck you behind it. It could be a trauma response.
I wish I could have lived your life experience.
I'm really glad that you couldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wish my fucking life on anyone. Now my life is dope as shit.
Right.
But I had to go through fucking hell to get here. I'm good on that. I don't want anybody to ever experience the shit that I went through.
I wish I could plug into your brain then.
That would be dope. Matrix that shit just so you can get a little bit of taste.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's I don't know. Anyways.
All right. Throughout the next year and a half, we would have discussions a few times about him crossing my boundaries. And as far as I knew, it's only happened 3 times.
Okay, so I'm going to pause you because at the beginning of this, she said that she's not going to refer to the strip club anymore. She's going to refer to it as crossing her boundaries. So every time she says that, we know that he's going to the strip club.
Correct.
So they had the original discussion. He said it would never happen again, and it's happened 2 more times since then.
Yes.
So,
or it's only happened 3 times. We would discuss a few times about him crossing my boundaries. Are you frustrated because I interrupted you?
No, I'm processing this email. We know that he was with somebody else when they started dating. So
Right.
he started the relationship with her with another woman. He went to the strip club and said that he would never do it again. Mm-hmm. That it didn't even resolve the conversation, just kind of shut it the fuck down, apologized to move past it. Has done it 2 more times since then. And after the conversation that we've had about a man and his word, there's a whole lot of red flags at the beginning of this. This entire thing is a problem for me.
Well, she said it had only happened 3 times. Does that mean 3 times prior to you finding out? Or 3 times since you found out and had the discussion that it would never happen again? Because if it happened 3 times prior to you finding out and it hasn't happened since then, and the conversation keeps being brought up because you're hurt, that's a different approach.
Right.
I would approach that differently.
Right.
Throughout this time, our communication became strained because Throughout this time, our communication became strained because as he became defensive and avoided conflict, I would let my feelings build up until I lashed out, creating a bit of a loop. I would also drink a lot to gain the courage to talk about my feelings because he would shut the conversation down, and I would become verbally aggressive in these conversations.
Liquid courage. So you were masking your shit to be aggressive. That's not healthy. You guys hear how unhealthy that is, right? Like, that is not how you fucking deal with conflict.
It's not.
Emotional frailty, episode 27, ladies and gentlemen. Every single email has had a hint of that.
It has. We came close to ending it, so we both decided that he would stop working away so that we could repair the relationship. And 6 months later, he proposed. I wish that you provided the clarification on whether it happened 3 times prior to you finding out and you were hung up on the fact that he was going to the strip clubs and that's why the conversations kept happening. Or did he continue to go after he told you it would never happen and that was the problem?
Well, either way, her response to the problem is also not conducive to resolution.
Right.
So regardless, they're both in the wrong in this. This entire thing is a rocking ship. This bitch is going to sink soon.
Right.
Like, there's no real foundation. There's no real buoyancy. There's no balance. There's a whole lot of things that have gone wrong, and she's matching that wrong.
Right. If he's becoming defensive and trying to avoid conflict because you're not approaching it as I need comfort in this moment.
No.
I know you told me that this is never going to happen again. I just need some reassurance. If you're attacking him, he would get defensive.
Right. There's a difference between what you just said and getting drunk and aggressive.
Right.
Because you feel the need to be heard and you want to get it off your chest, so you're going to get drunk and then be belligerent.
Right.
Because that's how abuse starts.
Correct. In that situation, if you're just off the bat attacking him because you're hurt by the fact that he went to the strip clubs, you're wrong in that. He is also wrong in getting defensive and avoiding the argument. That needs to be he needs to kind of help you come off that ledge a little bit. If it's he went to the clubs after he said he wouldn't, and you're trying to approach the conversations and he's becoming defensive, I could see how turning to drinking would kind of numb that pain a little bit. That's still wrong. Either situation is still wrong. In one scenario, somebody has a little bit more going on into that wrong than the other does.
Yeah, absolutely. If he went 3 times, so we'll approach this from both sides. If he went 3 times, said he wasn't going to go anymore and stopped. They had a conversation about it. He apologized, said it would never happen again, and it hasn't. And she didn't get over it because she didn't get it off or didn't feel heard or whatever the case may be. And she's continuously bringing up some shit that's no longer happening.
Right.
He has every right to be frustrated.
Right.
And now she's like, hey, I'm feeling a little distrust right now. Or however you want to word that to get reassurance in the moment. That's a different scenario than being like, I can't believe you did that.
Right.
But you need to also look at the overall scope of this relationship. He was with somebody else when you started dating. That's the first and foremost thing, which means there's already infidelity issues that are probably there. And then the other aspect of that is the strip club thing. If you had a problem with him going to a strip club, it's because deep down you know that he was with somebody else when you met him and you're worried about infidelity. You're worried about what could possibly be happening while you're at work or while he's at work for a month straight
days.
Or whatever it was. There's a lack of trust there. And because that lack of trust there and a lack of unknowing of what's actually happening and your own insecurity because of things that you lived through with him, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So even if he cleaned up his act and is not doing any of the things that he was doing in the beginning, because of that rocky foundation, you have a distrust with him and he's not going to ever be able to fix that because that's a you thing. You knew what was going on when you met him and you made the decision to play that role. The other aspect of that, if she caught him going to the strip club the first time and said, I won't ever do that again, and has since gone 2 or 3 more times, he's showing you that he can't be trusted.
Right.
I can understand why there's a problem. And if every time you bring it up, he shuts the conversation down, it's because he's not going to change. He's tired of you harping. He doesn't want to hear it. That's a problem.
Right.
The communication that you two are having about this, no matter how you look at this, is a fucking problem.
It is.
Yep. So now it doesn't matter which way we read the email because we've addressed both scenarios.
Okay. We came close to ending it, so we both decided that he would stop working away so that we could repair the relationship. And 6 months later, he proposed. In those 6 months, we had made progress. His not working away meant that he was more present, and we had more time to discuss not leaving it to 1 week per month. We got pregnant about a year later, and our son was due the month that we had planned to get married. Due to my pregnancy, I was extremely emotional. We had moved states away from all of our support network. I started to see so many changes in him where he was doing his best to be more open. However, he wasn't completely honest, and I would catch him in lies about the past and what happened. Keep going. Do you want to say your thought?
There's no reason. She's harping on shit that happened over a year ago at this point. She doesn't trust the man and decided to have a kid with him. You hear how this is going? Like, red flag, fuck up. Red flag, fuck up. Red flag, fuck up. Like, you're making decision after decision after decision, knowing that you're having issues with what's going on in the relationship. This is just as much your fault as it is his. At the beginning of the relationship, when all of this shit was going on and you were having problems, that was the opportune time to walk away and find somebody new instead of going through this. Now you have a kid with him. After everything that you went through, now you got a kid with him. And you're still having problems over shit that happened years ago that he feels is resolved. And you're finding out that he lied to you about some of it because he didn't want to fucking argue and fight with you or whatever the case may be.
Or he just didn't want to hurt you further.
Right. Or didn't want to lose you in the beginning. And you guys were still new and he was trying to work through shit and like... There's just so many things there. But why would you put yourself in a position in the beginning when things are fucked up to stick around and not get over things?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you knew who he was when you started dating him. You knew. There was no fucking, like, well, maybe he didn't do that.
Right. I had a lot of time to myself and my anxiety would build up. So I started to break his trust by reading through the messages on his phone. And it was at this point that I realized that the last time, as far as I know, he crossed my boundaries was the weekend before he proposed. And he had potentially had a threesome with people he crossed my boundaries with and found search history of a brothel. However, I didn't have exact proof, just search history. At this point, I was 7 months pregnant and ready to leave.
Should have left before you were 7 months pregnant.
So with all the information that I just had, I am assuming that the 3 times that she knew about it happening
were after the fact.
Was after the fact.
Yeah.
And that's why those conversations kept happening. They worked on things, and now she knows it happened. What did she say? 2 weeks prior to the proposal? Oh, the weekend.
The weekend.
Before he proposed. So history is repeating itself, and you are now 7 months pregnant at this point and ready to leave. We both wanted him to be there for the birth of our son, so I stayed for another 5 months until our relationship became toxic. And he suggested I should go back home so that we could try to keep a civil relationship for our son.
So that relationship wasn't toxic before then?
It was toxic before then.
It was toxic since the fucking beginning.
Yeah.
I don't feel sorry for people like this. I really don't. If I'm like, hey, that stove is hot, don't touch it, and you touch it, I'm not going to feel sorry for you. I'm not going to care that you burnt your hand. I'm not driving you to the fucking hospital. You did that to yourself. Mm-hmm. The signs are there.
Right.
Slow down. Children at play. Stop. Yield. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. I mean, what the fuck do you need? A neon? Like, you did this to yourself. I understand why people don't like me.
Yeah.
I do. I get it. And I don't care. Mm-hmm. You could not like me. If you do stupid shit, I'm going to tell you you're doing stupid shit.
Right.
It doesn't faze me one way or the other because I'm not the one that's got to live with your decisions.
Yeah. Somebody who does have to live with this decision, though, is her son.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. It makes me a little bit sad knowing that a pregnancy lasts only 9 months and she left 5 months after that. Soon after we split up, I ran into my ex-boyfriend, who I started seeing. However, this didn't last long as we were both young. And now that I had a kid, my focus wasn't on drinking and partying, so I struggled to see a long-term relationship with him. I do know that my son's dad did assume that I had been talking with my ex while we were together because of how fast we started seeing each other, but that wasn't the case, and I have explained that to him, but he is still doubtful.
Of course he is.
Are you guys back together? Why would it matter?
Right.
If you were seeing somebody or not?
It shouldn't.
Because you were separated.
Right.
They got back together, right? After being separated for about 9 months, we tried to make it work again. One of my partner's most redeeming qualities is that he's an amazing father and provider for our child. We have been back together for 3 years now, and we have not had any issues in our relationship.
Then why bring all that shit up? If that's not currently going on and your relationship has been dope for 3 years, why is that even relevant?
Okay, because now I'm going to skim because everything is super dope. COVID hit. They struggled financially. They have multiple children now. Next paragraph. Since he has started working away, it has been incredibly hard because he had to go back to COVID, due to COVID. As I get triggered just dropping him off at the airport. So I spend a lot of time alone sorting through my anxiety and trying to take note of important things that we need to discuss and separate it from what is just overthinking. As a big concern that keeps coming up for me is that in the last 3 years, we hadn't had the money for him to cross my boundaries, and now we will.
So you still don't trust him? That's what happens when you build foundations in quicksand.
She says, I don't understand how I trust that he wouldn't hurt me, but if he did, I don't believe that he would tell me.
Right.
Of
course he wouldn't.
Is that unreasonable? She's asking that.
What unreasonable? For him to tell her?
I don't understand how I trust that he wouldn't hurt me, but if he did, I don't believe that he would tell me.
Of course he wouldn't. I don't understand. What do you mean, is that unreasonable? That's the next line.
Right.
Is that unreasonable? Is what unreasonable? He didn't tell you all the other times that he did shit wrong. He hid it from you until you found out. You think he's going to go and have a threesome and be like, hey, babe, guess what I did last night? I smashed 2 broads at once. You should have seen it. There was mirrors on the ceiling. It was amazing.
There's one more sentence. She said, I do see him as a good man with so many amazing qualities, but I know that he can be a people pleaser that avoids confrontation. That's just part of his personality.
What does that got to do with him cheating?
So what are you asking us? I don't understand. Everything's been dope for 3 years, which is fantastic. I'm glad that you guys were able to get your shit together and things are going great and he's stepped up and he's being honest with you. That does great for the son and the other children that you have. That's amazing. Are you asking us to ease your anxiety in the fact that if he did do something that he wouldn't tell you? Because I agree with my husband, he's not going to tell you.
Right. It's a behavioral pattern.
Even if he does do it, would he tell you out of guilt? No, he might realize I just really fucked up and this time she's going to leave me.
Right. Well, she also said he's a people pleaser. So in the event that he did actually cheat, he's not going to tell her because he doesn't want her feelings.
Because he's a people pleaser.
So even if he's not guilty and not ashamed of what he did, he's not going to just come forth and be like, hey, guess what I did last night? This is not going to happen.
I don't understand why you emailed us.
What I want to know is during the 9 months that they were separated, what did they do to work on their shit?
Yeah.
When they got back together, what was the expectations and stipulations that were put on the relationship? What are the boundaries that were put on the relationship? What conversations were had to cement a new foundation moving forward that you are not going to accept less than this? Because that would have mattered more to me. That 9-month breakup and what you guys did during that 9 months means way more to me than everything that happened before that.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to be honest. If she would have just said that in the beginning, he went to strip clubs. I found out we had a rough patch. We're back together now. It's been 3 years. Everything's going fantastic. And this is what we worked on when we were on a break. I would have preferred that email.
Right. Well, we had a whole lot more information.
Right.
This is why we say we need details. You know what she did? Sorry, go ahead.
I don't know what to say. It sounds like she's in the midst of an anxiety attack and she emailed us hoping that we would give her something to ease it a little bit. And I don't know what to tell you. I don't know the man he is now.
Right. We can't see your life.
She said that he's been extremely open and honest and in most circumstances is the first one to bring up the discussion. And he's been amazing emotionally and financially.
So she's super fucking insecure because of things that happened in the past because they didn't work through it.
Yeah.
When we ask for...
I just remembered we have that follow-up email she sent.
Go ahead.
So 7 years, it is just his personality, additional info.
Okay.
Since sending you my original email, I have taken some time to think about what I wrote and where I could improve my approach to our relationship. I can see a lot of my anxiety stems from a lack of understanding of my partner's feelings and wants in our relationship. He has spent a lot of time over the last 3 years helping me to feel safe and secure in our relationship. But I can only imagine from his perspective, as he has expressed, that he hopes I don't leave him, which in retrospect can be a pretty anxiety-inducing situation to be in for 3 years.
Why would he feel that way? They were already apart for 9 months.
Right.
They reset. They came back together, hopefully worked through their shit, and decided to try again. If they spent that 9 months apart and had no resolution to anything that happened prior to that 9-month break, doesn't mean nothing.
Right.
But if they had any type of conversation to work towards their new foundation and how they're going to live their life moving forward, that 9 months is a reset to me. In my opinion, everything that happened beforehand doesn't matter anymore. You guys have decided to forgive and move past. Mm-hmm. So why would he feel like you're going to leave him?
Probably because she keeps bringing it up.
Right. Or is it because she dated her ex while you guys were separated, and maybe he feels like you were talking to dude before you guys separated because that was his MMO? Because it's a real possibility.
It could be.
When people accuse you of cheating all the time, 90% of the time is because they're fucking cheating. Otherwise, they wouldn't have that insecurity. That's a real thing.
It is a real thing, yeah. In a recent situation, he jokingly complained about the relationship I had with my ex after we split up. But because it was a joke, I brushed past it and didn't bring up the topic again.
No, it wasn't no fucking joke. Old boy was telling you how he felt and trying to be funny about it. Because he's a people pleaser and doesn't like confrontation, per your previous email.
Last night, after being on the phone with him, I asked him about it and apologized for not acknowledging it sooner. And he did admit that he didn't believe that he had animosity about it, but we could chat about it before he got home.
People pleasing, but still wants to have that conversation.
Right. He has animosity about it.
Yeah, he does.
He does.
The shit hurt him just as much as you were hurt, and you guys didn't work through your shit.
Everything he did in our past was a result of his past relationship, and not feeling valued in that relationship and thinking back to my partner avoiding confrontation can probably be very difficult for him to bring up topics that bother him. I'm sorry, are you excusing him?
That's exactly
crossing
what the fuck
your
she's doing.
boundaries?
Yep. And she's blaming his previous relationship that she started dating him in on the way that he was behaving in the beginning of theirs.
No.
This is... That's why you're supposed to work on yourself in between your relationships and move past things so that you're not bringing baggage from your past relationship into your current one.
I'm absolutely flabbergasted right now. He does not get to blame his past relationship on the fact that he disrespected you the weekend that he proposed to you by going and crossing your boundaries.
Yeah. There's a whole lot of wrong in all of this. Neither one of them are in the right. They both fucked up a lot, and it doesn't sound like they did anything to correct it.
I agree.
That first email painted him in a very bad light.
It really did.
And that's, we tell people all the time, if you're going to email us, take some fucking accountability. Mm-hmm. This is what I did. This is what he did, so that we have an understanding of where the fallout is happening.
Yeah.
We didn't get that. I don't, that email frustrated me. Like, it's frustrating to hear that shit because there's not accountability there. And like, you knew what you were getting into and you did it.
Right.
So like, for me, my frustration's not in what's happening in their relationship. It's that they fucking knew what they were doing when they did it.
I agree.
And then they're going to play a victim in it all and be upset that things are playing out the way that they're playing out when you fucking knew what you were getting yourself into because you were a part of it. It's like if two people break the law and one of them snitches on their friend, like, bitch, you knew what the fuck you were doing. Like, don't try to get somebody else in more trouble so that you can get out of it. You both fucked up. Just own your shit.
Right.
I don't like that shit. And that 9 months, I really want to know what that 9 months looked like. Because they could have taken that 9 months and did a whole lot of work on themselves and had a whole lot of really deep, meaningful conversations, expressed each other's hurt, had conversation, not in conflict, where they weren't living together and didn't have to worry about that shit, and fixed all of their shit, poured a new foundation, so to speak. And their relationship could be dope as fuck right now because they took that 9 months to figure out what the fuck was going on and starting over. Mm-hmm. And that didn't happen because they're still harboring shit from fucking years ago.
I don't know. I'm processing everything from that email. I don't know how it makes me feel. I'm just very uncomfortable right now.
Why?
I don't know. The excusing of going and crossing the boundaries literally up until the proposal and blaming it on the previous relationship and not feeling valued. You weren't in that previous relationship the weekend before you proposed to me.
Nope.
You were with me. I don't know.
Well, that proposal happened and they split for 9 months. So it's not even like the proposal happened after they got back together.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I really am. I am of mind that they should have figured their shit out before getting back together.
I agree. Yeah, I don't know what that... Were you looking for advice?
Yeah, there wasn't even questions there other than...
I'm just sitting here dazed and confused.
Yeah.
Next one's called I Feel Guilty. I like to start with the fact that I am in my first relationship with a female, and as I am a female as well. We've been together a year, and I plan to spend the rest of my life with her. About 2 years before we met, she was with a man, and they were together for about 2 years, I believe.
What do you mean you believe? You've been with this person for a year and you don't know how long their last relationship was?
I'm about to say, this is someone you want to spend the rest of your life with, and you don't know how long she was with. How long have you known this person? I have so many questions.
Could you imagine planning on spending your entire life with somebody and not knowing enough about their past to even make that a thing?
I know how long you were with your ex for.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a conversation that's had during the courting phase. How was your last relationship? How long were you in that relationship? Why did it end? What were some of the problems that you had while you were in that relationship? What did you learn from it? Where can you take accountability? There's a whole lot of fucking conversations that go in the courting phase that is about your previous relationships.
I think the reason I'm questioning this so much, we're married.
Right.
We have known each other for time, so it is expected that we know that past of each other.
Right.
I think the reason I'm questioning that I believe so much is because she has said definitively, I plan to spend the rest of my life with her. That's just one of those things where it's like a yellow flag.
Yellow, huh?
A yellow flag, yeah.
Proceed with caution.
Right.
Okay.
He was good to her, but at that time he was fighting a lot of demons. He overdosed and passed away while with family in a different state. He also had a little girl with a different person. My girlfriend is really close to her and his family. I remember this email.
I don't. But
Okay.
I know that there's a whole lot there that you can tell me that you know that he overdosed and had a kid, but you can't tell me how long your girlfriend was with him.
I have always respected that situation she had with him. Anytime his name gets brought up or a story is told, I actually listen and respectfully contribute to the conversation most of the time.
But you can't tell me how long they were together.
Right. If you actually listened, you would know how long they were together. We were in the talking stage. She communicated that she goes and visits his family about every 6 months in the state that he passed. I never hesitated on my feelings about it because I don't know what it is like to lose a significant other, so it is not my place to have an option on how she grieves his loss. I support her fully in any decision she makes about communicating with his family, even to this day.
I don't understand why this is even an issue.
Why are you talking about grieving his loss?
Right.
Her having connection to his family doesn't have to do with her grief.
Right, at all.
Right.
It's also not a bad thing.
It's not. That was family to her.
I don't understand that mindset. That sounds like insecure jealousy shit to me. Like, why is her talking to her, the person that passed away's family even a problem?
I don't know.
What if this person was still alive and she was still close to the family? Would that be a problem? Because I don't see that as a problem.
I wouldn't see that as a problem either.
Right.
Yeah.
You can have friendly relationships with people from your past. Mm-hmm. It's not like she was fucking the family.
Right.
Like, why is this even a thing? I don't get it. I don't understand why this is even a thing in the email.
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean,
I guess
we're
maybe
gonna
we'll find out.
continue
Yeah.
reading. Yeah.
Yep.
A couple of months into our relationship, she asked if I would like to go and meet them the next time A couple of months into our relationship, she asked if I would like to go and meet them the next time she flew out to visit. Keep in mind, they adore her and fully accepted her. And when I came and fully accepted her and I when she came out as gay and really wanted to meet me. Okay. Because of this, I didn't really think it through and agreed to go with her the next time she went. She told them I would come, and everyone was super stoked about it. They couldn't wait to meet me. A couple of months went by again, and it wasn't brought up verbally anymore, but I thought about the response I gave constantly. Okay, so I'm going to pause and not even read on. If it has been months after and you are constantly thinking about what you told her, you need to reapproach the conversation.
Right.
It is not fair to her for you to sit there and go, I really don't want to do this.
And not say shit.
And not say anything. It didn't take me long for me to realize that I didn't want to meet them. So it should have been said immediately. Right. The moment you recognize that you were uncomfortable with meeting them, it should have been conversation of, hey, babe, I know I said that I was on board with going. It's been a couple of days, and the more that I think about it, I'm kind of getting uncomfortable with the idea of it. And you said definitively that you didn't want to meet them, so you should have said definitively, I'm uncomfortable and I don't want to go.
Right.
And her response should be, I get it, babe. You know, it is kind of early. Whatever, a comfort and I understand, you don't have to go. If she responds in anger, which is the only thing I can think of, or you're traumatized in some sort of way that you haven't approached the conversation, I don't see why you would expect that reaction out of her.
I have something I'm thinking about. It's not relevant to that. Were you about to start reading again?
Yeah.
Could you? So she said definitively that this is somebody that she wants to spend the rest of her life with.
Correct. She did say that.
Okay. This person or this family is somebody that she's close to, that obviously have some sort of history with, that is prevalent in her life. Mm-hmm. Why would you want to not be a part of that? Because if she continues to be close to this family and continues to have them in their life, and you continue to isolate yourself from that, mm-hmm. every single time she goes to see this family, you are going to get in your feelings about it, and it's going to create waves in your pool of life because you've decided to not be a part of this.
Say you spend the rest of your life with her, you guys end up getting children, you have a family together.
And every 5 or 6 months, she goes and sees this other family.
With the kids.
Yeah. How's that going to make you feel? Because it's already making you feel in a certain kind of way.
Yeah.
If you came to me and said, babe, I know you don't want to go. I know you don't. I know who you are. I know the type of person you are. I know you don't want to fucking go. But it would mean the world to me if you went at least once. I would go.
Yeah, you would oblige.
Right. And when I went, best case scenario, I'm going to find out these people are dope as fuck, and I may want to go back.
And you're going to enjoy yourself.
Right.
Yep.
Worst case scenario, I'm going to realize that this is not a thing. And mm-hmm. next time I'll be like, hey, I can see how you guys get along. I love that for you. I'm going to stay home and play Xbox for a week while you're gone. Mm-hmm. Go have fun, babe. Like, it could quench all of my issues that I could be having. Like,
you can blame it on me. You can say that I'm just not a people person, and I got super overwhelmed last time, overstimulated.
Yep, fear of flying, whatever. You can tell them whatever. Tell them I'm a dick. I don't give a damn.
That like I have food poisoning.
Yep.
Not saying you should lie to your family.
This seems selfish to me.
Do you mean her not wanting to meet the family, or the fact that she hasn't told her that she doesn't want to meet the family?
I mean that, I guess selfish probably isn't the right word. Self-centered might be. Jealous, insecure, all of those could play a part in that.
Mm-hmm. There's something in play here.
Right. That shouldn't be a problem.
That's making it unfair towards the partner.
Right.
Okay.
This shouldn't be an issue. It really shouldn't be an issue.
Mm-hmm. I'm not unwilling to meet people. I'm not. I get like in myself about it, like, oh my God, I'm going to look stupid, or I'm going to say something, or they're going to judge me. When it comes to strangers, I don't feel that way. I'm speaking specifically when I had to meet your family. I was panicking. I thought that they were not going to like me, that I was going to be like a complete fool in front of your family, or, At that time, I wasn't religious. I thought that was going to be an issue. And I still went. And I met your family. And immediately I felt welcomed. I'm getting emotional. I need to stop. So even though I had all those negative feelings and I was working myself up, a prevalent thought was I didn't want to go because I was uncomfortable. And I pushed myself outside of that comfort zone because I knew I wanted to be with you for the rest of my life.
Right. Because sometimes you just have to make sacrifices.
Yeah.
It's just the way things go in long-term marriages and relationships.
Yeah. This sounds like this is family to her.
Well, didn't she say that she's got a kid with this guy?
Man, they were together for 2 years. No, I don't think she has a kid with the guy.
I don't know why that was in my head, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. I don't see anything about a child. I'm also skimming, so I could just be missing out.
Okay.
Anything else before I keep reading?
Mm-mm.
Okay. I didn't feel like it was my place to. Oh, you didn't feel like it was your place to meet them? Well, your girlfriend, who is a part of their family, feels as if it is. So, even if you feel as if this is a morally wrong situation, the people who are affected by what's going on are all excited about it.
Right. Is it that you really don't feel like it's your place or you just don't want to go?
Right. Is that an excuse?
Mm-hmm.
Although his family couldn't wait to meet me, I knew I would feel extremely uncomfortable. Her ex and family has nothing to do with the life I have with her now, and I don't feel like it's a place or memory I should insert myself into.
That's not true.
You realize that your girlfriend is conversing to them about you.
Right.
You are somebody to them. They are somebody to you. You know who they are. Really, the only thing that hasn't happened is meeting them. They are a part of your life because you are with somebody who is a part of their life.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. If your girlfriend had a best friend, wouldn't you want to meet the best friend?
Right.
Regardless of the history? Why is this any different?
Mm-hmm. Oftentimes, I think, what if he were offended by the fact that I was in his home bonding with his family, friends, and most importantly, his daughter?
So there is a child involved.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he has a little girl with a different person.
Okay.
So he has a daughter. If he treated your girlfriend the way that you said your girlfriend has claimed that he treated her, he would be ecstatic that the woman he loved is happy. That she is with somebody who is providing her that happiness and isn't treating her poorly.
Yeah.
It's all about perspective. It really is. Sleeping in the same bed as the girl he loved under his family's roof. So I expressed my feelings to her. I felt absolutely terrible about it. I built this facade of her thinking I wanted to be there, and I crushed any excitement that both sides of the party had about meeting me. Please keep in mind I expressed that even though I didn't want to go, she was more than welcome to continue the relationship and visits with no issue. So I think the problem is you let months go by before you finally said, I'm not okay with this. Mm-hmm. You knew you didn't want to go. That thing in my neck keeps happening. That we caught on camera, It keeps happening. It just happened again. You might be able to see it. Are you over this?
I'm biting my tongue right now.
Okay.
Because there were some things that were said in there that I really want to shit on.
Yeah. I was 1,000% supportive of everything besides me meeting everyone. She hasn't been back since. She stopped talking about it and has built this wall of emotion about it. I don't bring it up anymore either. If I were her, I wouldn't talk to you about it anymore either.
Right, but she's now not going and seeing this family anymore.
Yeah.
Do you see what's happening here?
Right.
She's putting the girlfriend's emotions over her own. Mm-hmm. And this
is going to draw a wedge between them.
Right. She's doing the right thing as far as I'm concerned. If they're going to spend the rest of their life together, she's picking her girlfriend's feelings over other people's, which is dope. But this is one of those things that shouldn't have been an issue.
It shouldn't have been. If I were the girlfriend, I would probably stop going as well. I would still keep in contact.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to cause issues in my relationship.
Right. It's shitty when you think about it.
It's also that kind of thing I would feel like I'm being almost forced to choose.
Yeah.
Between having something that was a big part of my life and something that could be my future.
Mm-hmm. When you could have both.
Right.
Yep. I think there's a bigger underlying issue here. I really do. I really, truly do.
Right. I don't ask, why haven't you went to see them lately? I ask myself if I interfere with the relationship they had because she felt she had an obligation to stop seeing them because of the decision I made.
Can you say that again?
I ask myself if I interfered with the relationship they had because she felt like she had an obligation to stop seeing them because of the decision that I made.
Why don't you ask her that instead of asking yourself? That way you can actually get some answers and resolution.
Yeah.
Because it's a much, much more conducive conversation than asking yourself.
Correct.
It's almost like communication requires another person to be involved.
Yeah. What happened? Did I hurt his family's feelings, or are they pissed at me, which in turn led them to stop communicating with her? Did she stop the communication with them because she didn't want to tell them how I really felt? I just don't know. You would know if you asked her. Although I know I can ask her these questions, I'm terrified of the answer.
Because you feel guilty about it, because you know that's what's going on.
She would have never stopped talking to them if it weren't for everything that has happened between. I would have asked, oh gosh, there's so much. If you would have just said right off the bat, like the day that you recognized, because you said pretty early on you recognized you were uncomfortable and didn't want to go. If you would have told her in the moment, like, hey, I'm starting to recognize these feelings in me, and had a conversation with her about the fact that you don't feel like it's your place. And you're uncomfortable sleeping in the bed that she slept with him in. That would have been a very different conversation than months later, everybody's super stoked. You're acting like you're excited. And then you drop the bomb of, I'm not really into this. I'm really uncomfortable with the whole situation. I know I've been acting like I'm excited about it. I've lied to you this whole time. I would have been pretty devastated by that too.
Yeah.
I'm terrified I'm the one who ruined their relationship because I didn't think through one very important question, which in turn brought her and his family from excitement to utter disappointment. It's not the fact that you didn't think through the question. You thought through the question. You didn't have the conversation when it should have been had. You faked it for months afterwards and then dropped the bomb of, I've been lying to you.
Right. I gotta be honest, I really feel like there's something more to this.
Yeah. Something that she's not saying?
Yeah.
Like what she's feeling, or something about like the girlfriend and the family?
Yeah. There's what, I don't know what it is, but that the fact that she's like, I don't want to sleep in the same bed that they slept in, that's probably the problem. Why don't you get a hotel and not stay under the same roof?
Yeah.
That's an easy solution,
and
right?
It could have been a conversation.
Right.
That could have been a conversation of, babe, I don't know how to fix this, but I'm feeling this way and it's making me not want to go.
Right. I just don't want to sleep in the same bed y'all slept in. Doesn't make me think about you fucking somebody else. How about that? Let's stay in a hotel.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that. There's
so many solutions that could have been had.
That doesn't seem like honesty to me.
I agree. She told me it was okay and my feelings are valid, shrugged her shoulders, and the conversation ended.
Because she was hurt.
She's hurt. She had all these conversations with you and thought everything was great, and then all of a sudden she find out that the whole situation makes you uncomfortable. She now feels like she has pushed you. Well, she could feel. I'm not going to say she now feels. She could feel as if she has pushed you into this position, and as if she was almost forcing you into this. I feel the whole time that you were actively listening, you weren't really actively listening and you were feeling a certain way about it. And you kept your mouth shut because you weren't really drawn into it. And then you were finally drawn into it by being asked to meet the family.
Right.
And then that's when it really started kicking in that you have issues with the fact that she still has her past very prevalent in her present.
Right.
I want to know if my feelings were valid. The feeling of being uncomfortable and meeting the family, I would say that is valid. The fact that you waited so long to say anything about it and strung everybody along and kept it to yourself is not right. There is a compromise here where you could have supported the fact that this is a very big thing in her life. Mm-hmm. You guys could have stayed at a hotel. You could have just visited for a shorter period of time.
Yep.
It could have been let's not go to their home. How about we meet at a restaurant?
Yeah,
we could have a day out.
Yeah, could have been a whole lot of things.
The fact that you weren't willing to problem solve with her about the situation and you lied about it for months and then just decided, I don't want to meet them. And that was the definitive thing. It definitely could have gone a bunch of different ways. What would you do if you were asked that question under the same circumstances? So everything I already said. I would have already known how I felt before she asked me. I would have anticipated that question. With how she talks about the family and goes and sees them and all of that, I would have anticipated the question of, would you want to go with me?
Right.
And I would have already had my answer ready. That's just me, though. And if I didn't want to go, I would have been, I've thought about this, and the thought of sleeping in the same bed that you guys slept in together makes me a little bit uncomfortable.
Right.
So I don't know if we could get a hotel room or how that could be approached. If we have to stay in their house, I don't think I'm comfortable with going.
Right. If that was really the issue, was sleeping in the same bed that they slept in, there's a whole lot of conversations that could have been had to navigate that easily.
Right.
But again, that's an insecurity thing. Mm-hmm. That's an insecurity thing. If you were still close to one of your ex's family members and you were like, hey, they're willing to let us stay in this house with them for a night while we're up there visiting or whatever, and I would really like you to go, and I found out that the bedroom we were going to sleep in is in a bedroom that you slept with somebody else in, I could see how that can make somebody jealous or insecure or like feel some certain way.
But we're here now together.
Right. But that shit happened in the past. It ain't happening now.
Right.
And as fucked up as this sounds, the whole boy's dead. It damn sure ain't happening again. The fuck do I have to worry about? I guarantee you those sheets have been washed. I'm not laying in Pecker Trail. Like, I don't understand. I really, truly don't understand how this is a problem. I don't have that jealousy and insecurity. Mm-hmm. I don't. To think that you have never fucked around with anybody else in the past is asinine. I know you've slept with other people. You're not doing it now. Mm-hmm. The fact that you've slept with other people in the past doesn't fucking mean shit to me.
Right.
I don't care. I'll hang out with your ex. We can hang out together with your ex. I don't give a fuck. Mm-hmm. I'm not worried about that. I don't have that insecurity. I don't have that jealousy, and I damn sure ain't worried about somebody taking you from me.
Why do you feel that way?
Because I fucking know what I bring to the table. Oh. And in the event that you wanted to leave, you'd fucking leave.
I thought you were going to say it's because I made you feel secure in our relationship.
Babe, I don't have to worry about shit with you. And you, part of that is me. Part of that is you. I don't know. I know my value. I know what I bring to the table. And if I was some scrub that wasn't living up to the expectations of what you have as a man, you wouldn't be here. Mm-hmm. You have self-worth.
Right.
I have self-worth.
You want me to keep going? Mm-hmm. How do I express to her that I never intended to have this outcome? You can express that all you want. This was the outcome, though.
Right.
If I were the girlfriend, my biggest hang-up would be the fact that you knew this for months and you didn't tell me. That would be my biggest hang-up in all of it.
Yeah.
That you knew for months that you didn't want to go. that we've talked about this. I've told you that the family's excited. You've played along that everything's okay. I thought everything was okay. And this whole time, you knew you didn't want to go. I would feel betrayed in that, yeah.
Right. Strung along.
Yeah. You can express all you want that that was never your intention. And I believe you that was not your intention. This was the outcome of it.
I really just feel like this whole situation could have been handled differently.
I agree.
Does it seems insecure, right? Am I wrong in that? Like, I'm really hung up on this. I really feel like there's something going on there that's not being said in all of this.
It could be that she's insecure. It could be that she really just doesn't care about it and she doesn't want to be a part of that section of her life.
Right, but why not just say that?
Yeah.
Why not just be like, look, this is your past. I'm not good with this. Go do your thing, babe. Have fun.
Right.
Lift your chin up. Okay.
What?
It looked like you have a shadow on your chin from the microphone.
Okay.
And I was making sure you didn't have dirt on your face.
Oh.
I was trying to be a good husband.
Thank you. I was like, is there a bug?
No, it's a shadow from the microphone.
I appreciate you. Was that the situation, just the straw that broke the camel's back for her moving on from them and starting this new chapter with me?
Wait. Why is she moving on from them to start this chapter? Why can't you both be part of the same chapter of this book? Why does she need to move on from them? See, this is what I'm talking about. This is why I believe there's something more there.
There is definitely. That whole sentence makes me very uncomfortable.
Right.
I think you view that you have almost pushed it on her to move on from them.
Right.
Or she feels as if you are pushing her to move on from them. Because in the beginning of this email, you said that her having this connection to the family, you viewed it as you're not going to tell her how to grieve her loss.
Right.
And as I said prior, her connection to the family has nothing to do with her grieving the loss of that person.
Right. It's a relationship that she's developed with these people.
So you saying, again, bringing up the fact that closing the chapter, finishing her grief cycle, she's able to move on. I can't tell you if that's what happened. You have to ask her that. This whole conversation needs to be had with her.
Right.
I am getting the vibe that you were uncomfortable with the whole situation. I don't think that you listen as actively as you said that you have. I don't think that you're being true to yourself about how you truly feel about everything. And I do think that you view her whole relationship with them as part of the grieving process and that you're kind of waiting for her to move on from it. And if I'm getting that vibe from it, I would put money on the fact that she's also kind of getting that vibe from you. I could also be very wrong in all of that, and it could be a totally different thing. Just my opinion. Her mom thinks that eventually she was going to stop visiting and the relationship would eventually fade, move on from her life, and when she was ready, close that chapter of her life, hold on to the memories and start a new chapter. So did the outcome of this just push that process to an end, or did I cause this? If I were your girlfriend, I'd have the answer. Unfortunately, I am just some person with a podcast.
How long ago did he pass away?
So
Because they've only been together for a year.
about 2 years before we met, she was with a man, and they were together for 2 years, I believe.
Right, but how long? It didn't say how long they were.
So 2 years before she met the person, and now they've been dating for a year. So
Right.
she did not include how long they've known each other.
Right.
Or anything like
So we
that.
don't know how long it was from the time he passed till the time they hooked up.
Correct. It could have just been that 2 years. It could have been 4 years.
Right. So if she's had a relationship with that family this entire time and she has a true bond with this family and she gets into a new relationship, that's not a closure thing.
Right.
You have a bond with these fucking people.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
So 2 years, for 2 years after the fact, she kept in constant contact with them and would visit them twice a year. I could see that first trip being like a like a closure thing, it takes a lot of time to travel. You have to take time off of work. You have to get your shit together. You have to make arrangements if you have pets. A lot goes into that. So to deliberately do it after the fact is because you enjoy doing it and you get something from it.
Right. Yep.
I don't have an answer for the questions that you're asking us.
No, she needs to be talking to her girlfriend. Yep. You need to be honest with yourself because there's a whole lot more going on there than you're indicating to the podcast. And if I'm wrong in that, fuck it, I'm wrong in that. But I feel like I'm dead on with that shit.
Okay.
Do you have anything else you want to add to today's podcast?
I'm emotionally exhausted.
I'm kind of annoyed from some of these.
Yeah, that was a lot.
And it's not even so much that I'm annoyed by the content of the emails. It's the way people phrase things gets under my skin. I really truly believe that if with the way that we read between the lines, that we can tell what's really happening because people are specific with the way they say things.
Right.
And even if they're trying to be deceptive with it, they're just typing their email out. So they're typing their email out and trying to cast themselves in a positive light, but things still come through.
Right.
I don't know. I could be wrong. It could all be in my head.
No, I think people... The reason that I pause so much on the podcast, which he absolutely hates because it's dead space, is because I'm thinking about what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, people don't do that. So in typing out an email, I do believe that they are truly showing their thought processes.
Right.
So in that 2 years, I believe you're showing me that you really haven't paid attention the way you said you have.
Right.
And that's why the grieving thing and the end of the chapter, I think you're really hung up on the fact that at some point you were waiting for her to move on from this. Not everything has to come to an end.
Right. If she's close to these people, this could have lasted forever.
It really could have.
It shouldn't have been an issue with anyone involved.
I don't think this would have ended if you had not been the catalyst for it.
Right. I probably actually believe that too. I'm sure that she would still be super close to this family, and it's not because of the person that they lost, but because she's developed a bond with them.
Right.
I don't know.
I would have a conversation with her, and I would just ask her, did you stop going because of me? And you're... Don't be a pussy. You're going to have to get the answer.
Yep.
I understand that sometimes you're scared of what the answer might be. Would you rather continue living this way and getting the cold shoulder from her?
Mm-hmm. Could also get resolution for the two of them.
Yeah. It could make your relationship better.
Yep. You guys need to look for there's more than one answer to all of these questions too.
There really is.
So you should be looking for ways to accommodate your person's needs. And like work through things versus just telling them no, because there's always an option. Even if you really didn't want to spend a whole lot of time, let's say she went up there for 4 days.
Right.
You could have went and stayed in a hotel for those 4 days. You guys could have got a rental car. You could have stayed at the hotel the whole 4 days except for one dinner. How weird would it have been to go to a single dinner? You can put yourself out for 2 hours. Like it's not that big of a deal. She could have dropped you off at the mall and then went and hung out with them all day and then picked you up from the mall, or you could have fucking Ubered back or whatever. You could have done some shit on vacation while she was doing the family thing, and you still could have had that one dinner, and you would have gotten a vacation out of it. Maybe you guys would have spent one day together while she spent one day with the family, and then you spent a day by yourself. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could have made, there's so many other options. It's not so cut and dry as yes and no. Like,
And for the people who would say, well, if I'm going to be by myself for a day, what's the point in going? The point in going is support. And also, if you can't entertain yourself for a day
right.
in a new place with new sights and new adventures, can't relate.
Yeah, I can't either. I don't know. I can't imagine putting myself out for a couple hours to make you happy.
You couldn't, or you could?
I couldn't imagine not doing that. If you were like, hey, I really want you to do this, and I know I'm not going to enjoy myself, but it's only going to be an hour or two, it's an hour or two. You're going to be happy about it. I'm going to suffer for an hour or two in silence. It is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Sometimes you have to sacrifice. How are you going to say you want to be with somebody for the rest of your life if you're not willing to be uncomfortable for a few hours or a day or two? You really want to be with them that bad that you're not willing to put yourself out? Like, that's not what you want. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not convinced. I'm not
either.
convinced that you're ready to sacrifice and go through what you're willing to have to go through to make this work for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Because marriage is work. It's,
yeah.
It's sacrifice. Lifelong term commitments is fucking hard.
This is the first obstacle of many
Yeah.
that you're going to have to deal with. And if you can't even approach her with a conversation on how to resolve this, it's not going to work.
Right. And if you're comfortable enough to let this ride, this says a lot. It says a lot about the longevity of this relationship. You guys are going to have a whole lot of fucking problems, man.
Yeah. And the fact that you haven't even followed up and asked her why she hasn't, why she stopped.
Right.
That would just solidify for me if I were the girlfriend that she just never really cared in the first place.
Yep.
She was just appeasing me.
Yep.
Or if the conversations always revolve around how you feel about the situation. Yeah, that would be a good indicator too to me that you just didn't care.
Yep. This is the first episode we've recorded where we haven't gotten a Patreon.
Oh, wow.
We got a Patreon message,
We did.
but we didn't get an actual Patreon subscriber. So with that being said, guys, the best way to support the podcast, if you like what we do, is to share the content with somebody that you feel will get value from it. This is free. It doesn't cost you anything other than a couple of clicks and a little bit of your time. You can share it to your Facebook. You can send it to people, whatever the case may be. If you guys like what we do and you want to see content that you would not see on YouTube or on the podcast, you can join our Patreon, which has a Discord, has exclusive content, early release content. We are actually starting to dedicate more time to Patreon because we have more time to record now that we're doing live streams. And Patreon is going to get a different side of us that YouTube does not.
Discord is also the only place that you can access our vlogs.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the vlogs. Yeah, Discord is its own little like community.
The bee's knees.
Yep. And you can get that through the VIP tier of Patreon. And we're active in Discord. It's the easiest way to talk to us. Doesn't mean that we're going to answer long, drawn-out emails, but if you would like to just have a casual conversation about homesteading, plants, photography, homeschooling, happiness for Peaches, I think, is a thread in there where people post pictures for you.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Peaches. Yes, that. It's GIFs, pictures, TikToks, videos, music.
Yeah.
I pop in there every day and just scroll through and look at things.
Yeah.
Also in the Discord, you will not be able to private DM us.
Oh, yeah. Nope.
It is all public conversation
Yeah.
and interaction.
I got to be honest. I'd rather you not message us on Patreon either.
I mean on Discord.
I know. Yeah. I mean on Patreon. I would rather not messages come through there either because the post on Patreon showing how to link to Discord is pinned.
Yeah.
But people log in from the app and you can't see the pinned post. So if you log in from a browser, you can see the pinned post, tells you how to get into the Discord. That's the thing. But when people log into Patreon, they try to send us a message like an email through the Patreon server. And then I have to get in and be like, hey, this isn't how we do this. You still have to send an email. And I feel like I'm being shitty to people, being like, hey, you can't do this here. Like everything needs to go to one spot because if we have to check our TikToks, Instagram, Facebook, Patreon, fucking email, there's 5 things that we have to try to find content to get it where it needs to go instead of just getting it to the email folder so our screeners can do their jobs and we can figure out where things need to go. But that's neither here nor there. If you guys would like to support us, that's the best way to do it. You can also do super chats on YouTube. It goes a long way too.
Yeah, during the live streams.
Yeah, we're doing expedited emails now too because there is a wait. And if you would like to get an expedited email read, it's $50. You can do tobebetter.co. There's a form on the downloads thing that you can click. There's a disclaimer and it explains the process. Those are getting read live on Sunday nights so that you can be in the live chats with us. And if in the event that we get backed up, we will be doing individual recordings for those. We do those now already kind of individual as needed, but we would prefer to do it in a live stream. So if we have questions like we have today, because we had a whole lot of fucking questions through all of this, we'll be able to ask you. Yep. And coaching's coming eventually.
Yes. The live coaching's coming.
That needs to happen soon, I think. But we still have a couple wrinkles to iron out before I'm comfortable with that. Do you have anything else? Because I really have to use the bathroom. I've been holding my pee.
Yeah, I'm cramping really bad and my whole body hurts.
With that being said, guys, we will see you on the next one.
Bye, guys.